Okay, and we are hopefully live with no issues. So, how's everybody doing? I am Game Master Roger. This is my neighborhood, and today we got Mike with Thunderstruck Workshop joining us to talk about terrain and minis and kind of some stuff that he does. We got Stan Ducato, Troll Den Painting, below me, and as always, Jason. Um, yeah, so we're going to be talking about minis and terrain and all of that fun stuff. Um, but first, like always, gaming and stuff in the last week. I don't think I've really gotten anything in, unless it's been small stuff that I don't really know about. The only gaming that we did was my Shadow Dark game, um, going through the Mike. What's the name of the module? Geez, I don't even remember the name of it now.
Scarlet Minotaur.
There you go. There it is.
The Lost Citadel of the Scarlet Minotaur.
Lost Citadel of the Scarlet Minotaur. That was we had some exciting times there.
We did.
We had they killed the Minotaur. They killed the Minotaur, Mike, in like 2.5 rounds. They dropped him.
Really?
And there were no deaths, and I almost killed one guy, but he was the cleric and got healed. Yeah, I think I attacked I don't know, maybe 8 times with the thing, and it did like 2 damage like each time. It was terrible. I was rolling a D12 and I was rolling 2s, and it was
Roger.
it was
I'm sorry to interrupt you, man. Whoever's dog is barking, I can't hear Roger talking.
Yeah, I gotta do something with her. She's in the other room too.
Sorry.
Give me a second. I'm gonna go shut the door.
Yeah, no
Sorry,
problem.
I wasn't trying to be rude. I can't hear you. So
no, that's fine. Well, I don't know if you guys in the chat, if you guys can tell me if you guys can see the chat on the screen. I can't see it.
I cannot see
For
it
some
either.
reason. It's blank,
Yes.
so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a strange thing. But if you guys let me know in the chat if you guys out there can see it on the stream. Maybe if I do this and then I do that. Yeah,
I can see it on the chat panel. The separate chat.
Yeah,
panel
yeah.
I open it up, but I don't see it on the screen.
I see that chat. Okay, so they can see the chat. That's fine. So I can see it.
Cool.
I can see it there. That's fine then, as long as everybody can see it. And then in the corner there, we've got Mike's slideshow going. This is all stuff that I believe that you print and painted all of this stuff. This is all 3D printed stuff. Yeah.
Some of it, some of these pictures are from my games. Some of them were from conventions. It's just a whole bunch of different stuff. I grabbed.
And you've painted all this
100-something
dungeon
pictures
stuff.
and threw 'em in there.
It comes out gray, and you paint it all. All the dungeon tiles and all that.
Everything.
God, man.
All of it.
Roger posts a link to the chat in our Facebook group. So in order for me to start the podcast in the evening, I have to open up Facebook, go to the messages, and then I pull the link up. And the first thing that popped up when I opened up Facebook tonight was your page. And it was a bunch of stuff that you had said that you were planning on putting on a display table, and it was too much, so you just added to your own collection. It looked like a bunch of village or something. But anyway, I looked at it and I was like, holy crap. It's just amazing stuff.
So no, actually what it was let's see here. That building.
Yeah.
I painted that today. And that was actually for Troy Allman's game, his Shadow Dark game. You had Troy on your stream.
Cannibal Publishing. Yeah.
And I did a bunch of terrain for his game, and we had a full setup, and we printed that building, and I had it all set up on my table, and I said, "How big of a space do you have?" I said, "I don't know if this is you're gonna want this. It's pretty big." So we ended up going a different route. And he was like, "Oh man, well, I feel bad you printed it." I go, "Don't feel bad, man. I print stuff every day. I'll just paint it and, I'll sell it in my booth, or I'll put it in my collection or something." So it's sat here since like last fall.
Wow.
So this morning I got up and I was looking at it. I'm like, I'm going to paint it. So I painted that today.
Nice.
You and Ducato both, man. You guys paint, and I know you've had years of practice. That's why you're so good at what you do. But man, like I'll set a model out and I start painting, and I'm like, wow, this looks like a second grader painted it. And like I don't ever want to look at it again. Like it embarrasses me that it exists. So.
I put the link in the chat.
I'll tell you that
for, Mike's shop.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, go.
My mini painting, I think like those, you can see them right there. They're okay. My mini painting is great for my table. My terrain stuff, I can print terrain all day long. It's nice and easy. It's yeah.
That general store that just popped up that we just saw. It looks like old West type stuff. What's the scale on that? And this is a loaded question.
28 millimeter. It's 28 millimeter stuff.
It's to 1:87. The HO scale is why I'm asking.
It's close. They're close. I think HO is, I believe, is a little bit smaller than.
So you got to remember that any of this stuff can be scaled before printing.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So if you need a certain scale, the nice thing is Printable Scenery actually has a chart on there and tells you all their stuff is built like out of the files as you get them are for 28 millimeter, and then they'll tell you scale it up by this percentage or down by this percentage for each of the different scales.
Wow, cool.
So I would imagine, as long as it's accurate 28 millimeters, any files you could do that with, use the same percentages, and it should be pretty close.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So anything, any of that stuff you can definitely use for, the model railroad hobby.
Yeah. I'm purely steam. I don't like the diesel era. It just starts kind of looking industrial, and I don't care for it. So mid to late steam. So you're looking at the late 1800s to the early, maybe the mid 1900s. That's what I look at the most. And when I saw the general store, I was like, oh, a Western, that'd be great. Because all of my stuff is like rural America, like 1890, 1910 farm type stuff.
Yeah.
But I would love to get something like a small Western town that one of my early period steam trains would pull into. That'd be really cool.
I've got some stuff in front of it, but that whole shelf there is all Western stuff.
Very
nice.
Cool.
That was from our, we ran Deadlands.
Yeah.
And I made all that stuff. Every one of those buildings, I printed them and painted them like 11 days before our game started.
Nice.
It was just nonstop, like two buildings a day.
Sheesh.
Just going nonstop. It's, I guess, the benefit of being retired.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have the time. But it'll burn you out. It will definitely burn you out.
Man.
I'm sure, Ducato, you probably have sprints where you go lengths of time without painting something.
Yeah, I mean, usually not more than a couple days. Like I almost paint.
Oh, really?
Every day, but not always. There's like some days when I'm just like, I need to take a break. And like today, I'm working on a commission for a guy, some Warhammer stuff, and you have things that you like to do and you don't like to do with anything. And like for me, like I don't like edge highlighting, but like that's how you do Space Marine armor. So it's like, okay, and I've been working on all other sections of these models, and it's going along really well. I'm ahead of schedule on delivery with it. I should get it ahead done before the deadline. But like today, I was down to like, okay, I'm going to start edge highlighting some armor, and I got like 4 guys done, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I need a break. I'll go play video games, something, because it's I needed, and then I got a bunch of stuff which I can show off today, so I started farting around with that too. So
awesome.
Yeah. What so we're going to talk about the Scarlet Minotaur probably some more, because I know Mike is also running his guys through that as well. So Stan, what have you been up to in gaming? What have your guys been doing?
I had a good week actually gaming. So Thursday night I ran Shadow Dark 4th session. We had our 4th character death, so the mortality rate is still pretty high. So we did that, and Saturday I played in my monthly Dragonbane game I play in, doing the Mega Dungeon Ave Nox. That was a lot of fun. And then Saturday, I'm in another monthly group that's like a monthly one shot. It's different every month. And we played Mothership, which I've played before and I really liked, and I had a great time in this. It was a super fun session, super fun.
Yeah, Mothership.
That's a
fun,
really. I hadn't played that in a while. It's been a while since we played it, and I'm like not really good at like picking up new rule sets or sometimes even retaining rule sets. And I was shocked at like how much of that I remembered, and it really drove home like how easy that system is to get into and stuff. And I don't even own it, but I actually may pick up a copy of it because it's a great sci-fi horror game. Like I had a blast. And I was lucky. I was with a great group, or a great game master, really good. And but it was just a lot of fun. So yeah, I did all that. That was my gaming for the week.
That's awesome. So yeah, I don't know what I guess Jason, what have you was it just the Shadow
just
Dark?
The usual, man. Yeah, just Shadow Dark. Been playing a lot of Fallout, but other than that, man, just
Same.
Yeah.
Same. We're getting my buddy that's from PA. He was asking about Fallout. Well, he was asking about games the other day, and I said to our group chat, and I was like, oh, I've been having a lot of fun with Fallout 3. So we got talking about, and I was chatting with him before the show, and he was going through. So he's like trying to decide between Fallout 3, 4, or New Vegas. And I'm like, I don't know. I've played Fallout 3 and 4. I really liked both of them. So I don't think you could go wrong with either one. And New Vegas I have, but because I'm having so much fun with 3, I haven't even done anything with it. I just downloaded it, and that was it. But I'm having a blast, like, fighting aliens right now.
Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Roger, let me know when you need me to stop.
No, it's
Fallout 4 for me, like a lot of people, it was so different than 3 or New Vegas that when it came out, I was like, I don't know. The skill tree is completely different. They left the percentile thing behind, and now it's skills. They did the same thing on Fallout 76. It became skill cards instead of a tree.
That's him right there.
And I was like, man, I don't know. But then once I started playing 4, I really liked it. There are things about 4 that I do not like, but I still have a great time playing it. But the base game of 3 and New Vegas for me are about on par. I think they're both great stories. They're lots of fun. The DLC for 3 is really good. The DLC for New Vegas is absolutely incredible. It is damn near flawless. It's just incredible. So I think I would probably go towards New Vegas as saying that that's the best. And people, everybody's like, oh, New Vegas, it's better. It's because it's written by Obsidian, and they've got the pedigree from the first ones. But man, Fallout 3 is so good, and like you and I talk about Fallout 3 all the time in the chat, and Roger's fully invested in our conversation.
In our Fallout Escapades.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I have so much. I have so much of 3 memorized that Dakota was like, "Hey, I'm doing this, but I can't figure this out." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, do this, this, and this." And he's like, "Do what?" My favorite was like, "Yeah, store all that crap in your house in Megaton." And he goes, "My house." And I was like,
"What house?
You don't? Okay." Well, he's like, "Well, the sheriff's dead now." It's like, and like when he said that, I had assumed that he had killed the sheriff. I was like, "Oh, okay, you're going a different route than I do." But if you've killed the sheriff, go see Tenpenny at Tenpenny Towers, and he'll give you an apartment there. And he's like, "No, I didn't kill him." So he tells me what's going on. I'm like, "Oh, well, just disarm the bomb and you'll get a house." And he's like, "That's it?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." And I know how long he's been playing. So what's your character, like level 15, 20 by now?
He's probably close to 20.
So I was like, you can go in there and flip the switch on that bomb without breaking a sweat. And like,
yeah, it was like one click and I had it. And I was like, oh my God.
Most people try to do it at the very beginning. Like as soon as you go into Megaton, they'll try and disarm the bomb. And it's got like a 45 explosive skill required. So it's like, okay, I'm going to level up once. I'm going to put it all into explosives. And then I'm going to take a Mentat. And that's going to get my my explosives up just high enough to just, to defuse that bomb, and then I'm okay. But at your level, I was like, this will be no problem at all. So
Yeah.
you were like, well, that
It
was
didn't
easy.
even ask me.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
It didn't even ask me like anything about my skill. It was like, do you want to disarm this? And I was like, yes. Click, done. I was like, well, shit, I would have done that a long time ago. I'd realized it was that simple.
And now you've got unlimited storage for all the hunting
Yeah,
rifles that you're going to need. Have you gotten Lincoln's repeater yet?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All
There
right.
you go.
All right. Let's. All right.
Okay. So
All right.
so anyway, it's been fun for me living vicariously watching Stan play Fallout 3 again.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been
I get it.
great.
We'll
I've
we'll
had a lot of
circle
fun.
back to that. I want
It's fine. Yeah.
Otherwise, we're
moving
going to
on.
go through the whole.
Yeah.
whole game.
No. But to answer your question, Roger, yeah, nothing other than Shadow Dark, which is we're still having a good time with.
Yeah. Now, Mike, we kind of talked a little bit. I don't know how much you want to talk about your personal game, for in
we
case any
can.
of your players are listening or whatever.
Jeez. I can't get them to answer in text. I'm sure they're not watching on the stream.
What? So I've been rolling poorly as a GM, which I think has helped. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think it's helped a lot because they've been able to level up pretty quick. And let me tell you, once the guys figured out, hey, we can get this much gold, we got 30 gold, and then we can go drinking all night. Like once they figured that out, with the carousing rules, it's been fantastic. And they go into the thing and they're like, let's find, the treasure and stuff. Let's see. And they're as they're picking stuff off the ground, they're doing the math and saying, hey, we could party for 2 whole days now. Let's go. Let's do it.
I got a question. How far away from town did you put the Lost Citadel?
Well, so that's the thing. You said yours was what, 3 days away from town?
Yeah.
Mine
mine's
4 hours.
It's
Yeah,
a
no,
Lost
I know.
Citadel.
About that.
No, I understand that. So the reason I put it so close is because if I put it far away, if I put it a few days travel away, there'd be a lot more random wilderness encounters. And I guess I don't have to do those. But in at least traditional, D&D wilderness exploration, I mean, you could run into some bad things, and you can have some bad times. So I wanted to eliminate that. So I kind of had the Citadel where it was like buried and then like an opening was found and then dug out.
Yeah, my players got their ass kicked a couple times, and they proceeded to go outside of the dungeon and camp out there.
Yeah.
And they'd camp for the night, set up a watch. I let them use foraging rules to forage for, wood for the fire instead of, because by the rules,
three torches, I think, right, for a fire.
Yeah, 3 torches combined to make a fire. But I think those rules are intended for if you were like in the middle of a dungeon and you don't have access to firewood and you need to start a fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it doesn't make sense that outside in the wilderness they need to, use torches to start it.
Right, because there's trees everywhere,
So,
right? And like
and I used the also the optional foraging rules where they made an intelligence DC check to find a ration. I had 3 players, 2 of them found a ration, 1 didn't. But that saved them because they so they're playing really cautious. There's only 3 of them. The fighter, the guy playing the fighter, we rolled 3d6 down the line. He ended up with a 12 strength. 12 strength, but he has a 17 on his constitution. He was the only one that rolled anything above like a 14. So he had a 17 constitution, which is +3, and he made a dwarf. So he rolled hit points and he rolled an 8.
And you get
So
advantage,
no,
you
it's
get
not
advantage on hit points.
No, they get. Well, I don't know if they do or not. They get +2.
They get +2, and they get to roll advantage on level ups.
Okay. Well, he ended up rolling an 8 with the +2 and the 3 for his con, so he has 13 hit points at first level, which is huge for them. The priest,
I had 1.
The priest had 4 hit points, and the wizard rolled max at 4 hit points. So I
Wow.
don't know. They ended up attacking 2 Ettercaps, and that didn't go well for them. And I know I'm going to publicly say this. I'm sure there's people out there, especially in the old school, that are going to like tell me I'm a horrible DM. But you know, if Jason, you were talking about the monsters in Shadow Dark in that book, and how simple they are when it comes to descriptions and whatnot. But another thing you got to notice about them that I noticed right away is Shadow Dark monsters. A lot of them have multiple attacks that don't have that in other versions. Like I use the ogre as an example. The ogre, he's a big bad ogre with a 1d12 club or whatever, 2 attacks per round. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, the Ettercaps have 2 attacks per round.
Yeah.
They ran into a scarab swarm, 2 attacks per round. So at first level, they're fighting 2 Ettercaps with 14 hit points each with 2 attacks per round. So because this was their first time playing it, they're not used to. We played 2E, so 2E is, it can be as deadly as you want it to be, but by the book, the characters have much more survivability.
Mhm.
They're not
Yeah.
used to this, so I decided to knock them down to 1 attack per round on those 2 Ettercaps, and they still almost died. The
Wow.
cleric, was it? No, the wizard got knocked unconscious. The fighter was down to, I think, 1 hit point at the end. They killed one, and the other guy went down to half. I rolled the morale, and he ran. And and at that point, they wanted to go outside, and the cleric had cast his cure wounds and failed it. So
Yeah.
they were like, let's go outside and camp. So they went out and camped. Well, they hadn't been in the dungeon very long. They came back in from a different entrance. They decided to scout out a different entrance. They came in and ran into one of those, one of the bulls. And
The
course-
statues.
yep,
Oh yeah.
yep.
Yeah,
So
those are tough.
So
Yeah,
he,
those are tough.
they were convinced that it was some pressure plate that triggered it, and they dodged out of the way and missed it, but they still had to get down the hallway, and it was a long hall they had to get down, and they got a 10-foot pole and they're prodding at stones and everything from the hallway, from the side hallway, and I'm like, yeah, nothing, it doesn't feel like anything's moving, you don't notice anything, and they're like, oh, it must be a pressure plate. We're gonna get out and run down the hall. And as soon as they come out into the hall, it's motion activated and freaking
Thanks.
charges
Yeah.
them. Well, it hits them this time, and it's 2d6 damage, and I rolled 11. So all of a sudden he's at 2 hit points. They've been back in the dungeon for 5 minutes.
Oh jeez.
So the
Wow.
cleric tries to cast Cure Wounds on him and fails again. And so at this point they're like,
Man.
well, the fighter has 2 hit points. We don't have any healing spells. And then we had a little discussion because I'm like, you guys can't go back out and camp every 5 minutes. You got to start playing a little smarter. But I guess they can.
Well,
It's just going to eat up
the way I was
resources.
doing
There's
it-
random
Right.
encounter checks. It's eating up resources.
Yeah.
So
That
If
the
they
way I
keep
was
play-
doing it, whenever they said that they wanted to leave, I'd figure out like, okay, it's going to take you like this is the way you're going out, right? Backtracking through. It's going to take you guys 4 rounds, to get out. So that's 1 random encounter there, and then 1 random encounter possibility on the way,
Right.
on the way back to town. So I'd roll 2d6, and I was rolling horribly and not getting anything, but
Yeah.
but that's how I was doing it. So like, yeah, if you want to go back and forth to town like every couple of days, like just do it. It's just going to take
yeah, that's the thing with putting
Time.
town. The town is 3 days away. They're just going to burn up all
Right.
their rations and everything else
Right.
if they rush back.
Mhm.
right.
So it kind of encourages them
I
to
didn't
stay there.
want to do that with 3 days away. I really wanted something to be right there. But I get it. I get it. Yeah.
I told him this. One of our players was on a cruise this week, so he wasn't here for the first week. He'll be here next week, and we'll have the full 4. And I
Yeah.
already told him. I said I went a little easy on you, knocking down the attacks per round. But when you have a full group, I'm not gonna. You're gonna have to be more careful. And the fact that they just attacked, it was a random encounter. I rolled 2 Ettercaps. I told them they could hear the shuffling noise down the hall of something sneaking around in the hall, and then it got quiet. And I thought they were going to be like, let's go the other way, guys. Nope, they decided we're going to go down there, and they got their swords out ready to fight. They came to the corner, and as soon as they came to the corner, the light shined, and they saw the two of them flanking the corner. And we were in, I rolled initiative, and they were like, I move out and attack them. No talking, no nothing, just rush right out and attack.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, keep that up. You're going to be dead real fast, I think, in this game.
Yeah, these guys, they came in through the main room there with the rope like 4 or 5 times, and I'm rolling. There's a 3 in 6 chance that the Minotaur is going to be there, and nothing.
Yeah.
And then some guy, they ran into Giuseppe there, and he's like, "Yeah, don't go in that room. Like that room, like he's in there." And they're like, "What are you talking about? We haven't seen him." And then the one time that they go in, the cleric goes in, opens the door, and the guy's in there. So we rolled initiative, and he's like, "Fuck it, let's fight him." Everybody else is like, "I don't know, this might be a bad idea." And the bull, because of where the pillars were, and he was when the door, he couldn't charge. So I just had him come up and use his axe, swing his axe. I think I hit him pretty hard. Like that was my one good hit. And then everybody else came into the room. They start swinging on this thing.
We didn't want to.
Jason, the thief, comes in, rolls a successful move silently or hide, whatever, dexterity check. So then he stabs the guy and hits him for like 7 or 8 or 6 damage. And man, just the rest of the guys they just beat on him in like one round. And he went from like 34 to like 18, I think, or something at the end of the first round. And then he's got his 2 attacks with the horns, and then one, he's got his horn attack, and then with the axe. And Mike, I was rolling so bad. I was rolling just terrible. I was rolling I rolled like a 5, and I was like,
rolling the opposite,
+6, and and I'm just not hitting them. And then, like I said, the D12 I think was for the horns. For the horns. I hit the fighter twice with that, and 2 damage both times.
Both times, yeah.
I rolled a 2 on a D12, and I'm like, oh my god. And then I'm like, oh, the axe, it's a D10 +1. It's a +1 weapon. And they're like, oh my god. And I like roll like a 2, and I'm doing like 3 damage. It's terrible.
I have I have 2 sets of dice that are like my main dice I've used for years. And my players are always giving me crap because I roll so good. And they're like, oh, you got to stop using loaded dice. And I'm always like, listen, I go, you take them. You use them this game, and I'll use your dice. And they're always like, no. So I was rolling really good the other day. And so somehow Pete's wizard got up in front of the scarab, and it was going to attack him. And he's like, don't use those dice. And I go, well, give me something to use then. So he pulls up a D20, and he goes, use this one. He goes, this thing is the worst die I've ever had. It always rolls bad. I roll it, and I roll a natural 20.
Oh,
and
my God.
They just lost it. I was like,
oh, my God.
I told you guys. So all of a sudden, my neighbor's like, it's not the dice, it's you. Yeah.
Just as a point of order here, my guys have not come across the scarab swarm yet, so I don't want to talk about the details on that.
Yep.
I'm a thief, man. I'm standing back and shooting my crossbow. I'm good. Even that Minotaur. What happened was that my thief opened the door, and then I just stuck my head in just to take a little look, and I saw the Minotaur was in there, and I turned around and said to the party, "It's in there. I think we should go the other way." And Joe was playing the cleric for some reason. And in fact, Joe told me at one point, he's like, this guy's Yohai. So, Yohai was my cleric, and he was always in the front lines. And so Joe was like dead set on playing his cleric like a battle cleric. And so he's like, let's attack him. And Ken's playing the wizard. And at the time I had 2 hit points. Ken has 2 or 3 hit points, and we're both like, no, this is a terrible idea. We don't want to die. And he goes into the room, and Ken and I are looking at each other, and I almost ran. And I was like, okay, I know how to get out of here. We've just entered this place. I know the way out. And Joe ran in, and the Minotaur came and took a swing at him.
That was our Leroy Jenkins moment.
Yeah, but he only did like 3 points of damage, and we were all like,
Yeah,
this might be doable. And then Joe swung at the Minotaur and whacked him for like 7. And we're like, okay, the cleric just took a chunk out of him. And then Nabil's fighter came in and did the same thing. And so Ken and I are looking at each other, and I was like, shit. So I snuck and I did my back attack, and by some miracle I hit him. I only did 6 points of damage, which was really crappy. But I was just really excited that I still did some damage. I think it was 3.5 rounds we took him out. And
quick.
And we were all like, in fact, we were cheering. We were super, and I even said after the fight, I was like, man, my heart was racing in that. Like, that's the first time that we have had a fight where I was not really sure how it was going to go. And so we were super excited. So, we took all the loot, and then we were working our way out and sold a magic spear, and we're like, 300 gold, man. It's going to be a good night. So, that was our sole focus. Like Roger said, our sole focus on this is like, we're not really caring about getting through the dungeon. We're like, scrape up enough gold to go party. And the only thing I can say negative about that is that I have been robbed by the Thieves Guild 4 times in a row. And I'm like, okay, can I just use a different chart at some point? I would just like to see something different happen to my character.
Yeah.
So that was kind of annoying. But something that Roger and I talked about before the game, we are both worried that once the novelty of the carousing wears off, that the game is going to lose a lot of its allure. And we're not at that point yet. There's, this is only our second session. We got plenty of game left, but I worry that he's right. I think the game has a lot to offer that we have not encountered yet. At one point, Nabil's fighter ran off, and I looked at Roger and I said, he's in the dark. Because the guy holding the torch wasn't leaving, so Nabil runs off. And I didn't say it out loud, but I was hoping like hell that Roger was going to roll like the Minotaur is walking down the hall and Nabil bumps into him, because I want that stupidity punished, and I want it punished hard. Because, the game clearly states you don't go in the dark because that's where the danger stuff is. But we keep doing that. Like, the whole keeping track of that circle of light is still pretty new to us. And so we forget about it a lot. And I really want that to be an important factor in the game. And one of the things that Roger talked about was making the light go from an hour torch to a half-hour torch. I'm all for that. Because the way we played is we go... we leave the dungeon to go carousing so often that by the time the torches get ready to run out, we've already gone back to town. So it's never really a factor for us. Boy, I'm really talking about this a lot.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that Shadowdark still has to offer us that we haven't really encountered yet. But I do worry that once the carousing stops being so much fun, that the game is going to lose some of its attraction. And I hope it does.
Well, the nice thing about the carousing is it also scales, right? So like the more you get advanced, you bring in more treasure, that gets you higher up the chart. So I think it could last quite a while that way anyway. My concern with it so far is that we've had such a high mortality rate. I mean, I don't mind killing characters, but we've had 4 sessions and 4 deaths, and one of my guys is owning 3 of those. So it's like, it's kind of hard to, I mean, they've had some really bad luck too, and I've actually rolled really well, and combination of both. And I mean, there's some people like in OSR that revel in that character death. I don't really. I mean, it needs to definitely be a possibility. And I mean, I killed several characters in my CNC game, and that's fine. But I also, you want some sort of longevity too, or possible chance of longevity. Otherwise,
right.
for if you're going to play a longer term game. I mean, if it's a short term thing, whatever, or a one shot, nobody cares in one shot. I expect to die in one shot.
It's funny because Ducato and I actually had this discussion today, and we've kind of thought the same thing. I really love the rules with Shadow Dark, but I know some of the diehard fans will tell you that, any type of game, you can play a long campaign with it, but it really is designed for dungeon crawling or wilderness crawling, whether text crawling, and that's the main style of play. And that's very similar to BX and Dragon Slayer and OSE, and that's fine. And there's people that run long form campaigns with them. For somebody like me that ran second edition since '89, that game is really, really made for long form campaigns. It's not nearly as deadly. You have a lot of tools to add to it with, whether you use them or not, with the proficiencies and everything else, things that can, build on your character. So we're going to see how it goes with my group, if, I can already see the cleric was not happy with it. I thought they were going to love the spell casting, but he failed multiple times and he was not happy with that at all.
That is why I will not play a spellcaster. I have no interest in that whatsoever.
And so I can understand why some people adopt a rule where you can you automatically cast. You don't.
Well, generally the rule, you don't lose it until you successfully cast it once.
Well, that's not generally the rule. That's a house rule.
No, right. That's not generally the rule. That's the house rule, though, that people are using.
Yeah, that's a common house rule, I guess.
I don't know that I like the house rule though, because then it's just giving you bonuses. What's the point of even rolling?
Really? Well, not really, because we have one caster in our group, and he has failed multiple times. Like even when he has a magic missile advantage, he's failed that. We use that rule, and he still goes through spells where he loses spells. Our cleric lost spells. So they're still losing spells in 4 sessions.
Man, we had Ken has he's got advantage on casting magic missile. Man, he can cast that thing for days. You know what I mean? He's just like,
and if the dice are on your side, you can, but you can still fail. And it's not automatic. Like you can still fail that roll. It just means you don't lose the spell without ever having cast it at least once.
Yeah.
So it kills that frustration that probably your cleric player has, that he never got a chance to use it. And I'm not saying one way or other is better, but it's not that big of an advantage. It helps a little bit, but you'll still have guys that will lose their spells. Because all they have to do once they cast it once successfully, then the rules as written are what you use. So if he pooches the next time he heals, done.
No, I get it.
He gets to get his spell off once. And
when I first read about it, I really, really liked the spells, and it sounded great with how they worked. Seeing an actual play, he failed more than he succeeded.
That would be me.
The wizard failed. The cleric failed multiple times. So I don't know. I mean, I'll bring up 2E again. There's an in the Spells and Magic book, there was always an optional rule to allow wizards to get bonus spells for high intelligence, the same as clerics do with their wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And we always use that rule. So you'd be starting off with a character with 2 to 3 spells that you can cast at first level, which is very similar to this, but there's no failing. If you want to cast your spell, you cast your spell. The bonus with this is afterwards, if you succeed, you get to cast again. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I think about it.
I played a magic user wizard in 5e to high level, like 15th level, and I played a wizard in Shadow Dark to 8th level, and I much preferred the Shadow Dark wizard for spellcasting purposes. Hands down, for me it was.
Now I could see a house rule where you So instead of just saying if the first time you fail, you don't lose it. An either or. If if you want to be guaranteed to cast it, you can cast that spell for your cast, and you pass or fail. If you pass, you keep.
Yeah.
Am I still in here?
Yeah, maybe.
Mhm.
You were
You
a little
faded a
choppy
little bit.
there.
Yeah, it gave me a
little choppy, I
reconnecting
don't know.
thing.
Oh, yeah, you didn't disappear. You were just a little choppy there.
Yeah, you guys were still moving, but I had a thing up there telling me it was reconnecting, so I
Oh.
wasn't sure if we were still live or what.
Yeah. So, well, that's probably a good segue to.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Shadow Dark is fun. We could touch more on that, later if you guys want to. That's fine. I'm more than happy to talk about it, in the games and stuff. But I do want to talk about minis and stuff, because that's why we're here.
Yep.
But so minis in games, right? Like, this kind of like debate about this is kind of gone on for a while. And Mike, I know you sell terrain and minis, and I think it's fantastic stuff. And I think everybody should buy, your stuff, because it's absolutely fantastic. Right. And having 3D printed terrain and all that stuff on the table is awesome. And anybody that can afford it can, should look into, putting the stuff out there. But I've always wanted to tell people that they don't need all that to get started. And I think some
absolutely.
of that is like, some of that's like I think from like the Critical Role stuff, and Critical Role's brought a lot of people into the hobby. So I mean, there's definitely like two sides to that, to that coin there. But like I see a lot of people come into the hobby, especially like when that stuff was going and during COVID and stuff like that, where people, and I've heard it from people where they would say, well, I can't afford to get into the game, or people at game shops saying that. And it's like, well, what are you talking about? And they go, well, you got to spend $200 on the books, and then you got to buy all this dice, and then all this terrain, and like you got to, spend thousands of dollars to like start playing D&D. And I'm like, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. You can download the basic rules for free, and you can use, I mean, when I started, we were using Lego guys and Monopoly pieces and Scrabble pieces, and just, putting them out on a, I don't even think, like, we had chalk. And then for a while I had a quote unquote sand table that was basically a door. It was like a 24-inch door that had I don't know how to explain it, right? It was like a panel door. So like it had like a big inset, all the way around, like a piece of 1/4-inch, plywood inset into it. And I filled that with sand, and like we'd use that for stuff. So but obviously, like as I get older, and playing, like, the more I want to try and have, minis and things like that. But you don't need it to get started. You start with nothing and do theater of the mind or whatever. But it's the miniature thing, I think, is or representation on the table, right, is kind of baked into the game from the beginning, because of the, I mean, D&D has roots in wargaming, right? That's where it comes from. And all of those guys had, fields of miniatures and everything else, back then. So yeah, Death Angel, he doesn't play with minis at all. But we'll try not to hold that against him a little bit, but
Well, listen,
but yeah,
listen, like, you see all the stuff I do. I started playing in '86, and I didn't start with minis till probably 2014.
yeah. And
So,
so what
it was
was
theater
that
of the mind
switch
all the
for
way up
you?
until then.
Well,
You know what the switch was? I had a good job and had money to spend.
There you go. Right.
Because
Right,
listen,
exactly.
growing up as a kid, I'd spend all my money going to Walden Books and buying new D&D books. I
Right.
didn't have money to spend
Right.
on miniatures and all that stuff. We didn't have game shops in our town, so I didn't have access to that stuff.
Yeah.
When I got back into the game, I took a long break from the game when I started working for the Department of Corrections. You know, I was away for a while, and then we're talking like a 15-year break from gaming. So when I came back, some of my old friends were running a game, and they invited me to it. And I got there, and he had some minis and a battle mat, not much. And I just started. The WizKids minis had just started coming out with that all their new Icons of the Realms or whatever they're called, and I started buying a case of every set. So it was like, you know, what was it, four booster packs in each case, so like 32 boxes of minis in each case. And I'd buy a case of each set that came out, and
wow.
we'd sit there at the table and open them up. But they were cheap then. You could buy a case for under $300. Now a case will cost you like 800 of them. You know, $600 to $800. Yeah, it's
They're crap.
so that's what.
Well, it's more of the
They are.
collector's value and all of that now. They've like figured some of that out and put like the ultra rares and stuff in, and you know, so that makes it more valuable. Yeah, I remember playing, like I said, with like Lego. Lego was like my favorite, the Lego guys, because you know you could just customize it. You know, it's like, oh look, I got a spear. Here's a spear. He's got a helmet. Here's the armor. Like, you know, and you could just make your figure look. You know, I mean, now you got Hero Forge, right? You could just go online and just you do the same thing, right? But you know, better. You just click and then you can order it or download the STL or whatever, and just print it and it's there. You know, but yeah, that's stuff we would use, and I'd use like pennies for bad guys. Like, oh, these are the Lincoln orcs.
We just
whatever.
We did use stuff for representation way back in the day, but it would just be like dice. We didn't even have a battle mat or anything. It would literally just be like, you know, these blue dice are the enemies here, and you guys are here, and it was just for positioning.
Yeah, right.
We went through.
When I first started, I only had the dice that came in the basic box set that I had, and that's why we were using like Scrabble pieces for for minis and stuff, just because we had one set of dice, that 5 people were using, to roll.
Yeah, and now I have thousands of minis. You can see those pictures there.
Yeah,
just
just armies,
those glass shelves are 36 inches deep, and I don't know how wide they are, but man, I've got 6 shelves that are just minis. That was one shelf in that picture. I've got 6 of those. Yeah. And then I've got boxes and boxes of unpainted stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. Ducato, do you have that problem?
I got
boxes.
It's not a problem.
No, it is a problem.
But like Roger was saying, like you don't need this stuff. So like
no,
on the table I'm sitting at right now is where I've been running our Thursday night Shadow Dart game, and there's literally a Chessex battle mat on it. I can't tell you how much terrain and stuff I have. And for 3 out of the 4 sessions, this is what we use. That and a handful of miniatures. I just haven't gone in on doing a lot of terrain for this. I did for 1 session, and then so you don't need a lot. You don't even need to buy a battle mat. Go buy a roll of Christmas wrapping paper and unroll it and flip it over, because it has a 1-inch grid on the back. There you go. Or go buy, if you want to be a little bit more fancy, you can go buy a 1-inch gridded easel pad of paper. I have one of those with hand-drawn maps on it. That's what I used when I first started in miniature. I had miniatures. I started doing miniatures. I mean, I had some as a kid, but not a lot, and we didn't really use them in games. I always liked miniatures because I was an action figure kid. So, like, I loved action figures. I still do. So miniatures were like my fantasy version of action figures. So, but we didn't use them. I didn't really start using them until 3rd edition D&D, because that's where the grid came in, and it was geared towards that. And I got into it, and I started slowly, building my collection over decades. And I didn't really, I had stuff, and I was painting a lot of stuff, but I never really went all in on it as much until I taught my son how to play. and I did that for the immersion factor of it. Like he liked miniatures and stuff,
Sure.
so he was a video game kid, and I knew I was competing with video games, so I wanted to make the game for him as immersive as possible to try
Yeah.
to hook him in, and it worked. So, and then it just snowballed from there and became like, oops, an addiction to that stuff. So I'm always fighting the urge to buy something.
I think I'm over squares at this point. I'm over 1 inch squares. I just don't care anymore about like the distances and stuff. I don't
So what I
care
do-
about
Yeah,
players
I mean, we
going,
use 'em-
oh, here's 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever. Like it doesn't matter. It's like you could just go there. I just want to abstract it.
I actually just got this question. I have a video on my channel. It's about why I like Castles and Crusades, right? And somebody just left me a comment on there, and I was going back and forth with him. He was asking about that, like, what do I do? Like, because in that video, in the backdrop, I built out like this Dwarven Forge
Yeah.
thing, and that's just as a kind of make it better than looking at my ugly mug, so they can look at that. And he asked me about it, and I said, well, I do a combination of things, right? Like I'll use a 1-inch grid. I'll use I use a ruler sometimes because I don't like, because if I have like like I say a forest scene, and it's usually that's something I've built, I never put a grid into it because I've seen people do that and I think it looks awful. Like, so part of the thing with terrain for me is presentation for the group. That's
Sure.
part of my enjoyment. And I just think that like you craft this thing, like you build it out of whatever, and then you carve this unnatural 1-inch grid into it just to get the grid. I'm like, I've seen some really good stuff that's been, in my opinion, ruined by doing that. So we just use a ruler, and I always pretty much always on the side of the players. Like if it's it's
right,
fucking 6.5 inches, close enough. Like whatever. We do that.
I've got a regular customer that buys Fat Dragon Wilderness tiles from me. He orders every month more stuff to add to his collection. He insists it has to be the gridded. It has to be.
Wow.
I don't print
That's
the gridded
not
stuff
bad, though.
myself. No,
That's
it's
not as bad, but it's but still, like, you don't need it.
No, you don't.
If you don't,
And what people don't know about, like, say, Dwarven Forge is a lot of their stuff that, like, say, isn't a dungeon. They have basically a grid in it, but it's very well concealed. Like it's certain like little land features in there.
Yeah.
If you know what you're looking for, you can measure the distance. Like I said, we use a ruler a lot of times just because it's fast. I mean, with a grid, you don't need it, but and I don't
even wanna
mind
use a ruler anymore.
I don't mind like Shadow Dark, it's close, near, far type stuff. Dragonbane's similar. Yeah, I don't mind that either.
Yeah.
The thing with close, near, far though, like my players were confused by it, and I'm like, not to say that it's complicated at all, but it's no different than saying, I mean, close is melee range within 5 feet of you, and
that's near, right? Or close?
No, close. Near is
Close
30 feet.
Near is 30 feet.
And far is beyond 30 feet.
Yeah.
Line of sight beyond 30 feet.
Yeah.
You know what? It did create a little bit of confusion for my players when they're like, how far can I move? And I'm like, you can move near. And they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, you can move up to 6 squares. So when
30
we're doing
feet.
it, right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
which is the same as like Castles and Crusades, I believe, is 30 feet.
Mhm.
And
Yes, that's
5e
correct.
was 30 feet.
Yep.
So I understand
30 feet
you
is
wanted to-
standard.
I think, well, it is standard for new school games.
40
Not
feet.
necessarily-
Yeah. Was in older stuff, BX and stuff. I think it's 40 feet, but yeah.
Well, like second edition is like freaking 60 feet because it's 12
Well,
squares.
you had indoor and outdoor
right.
movement. And
Yeah.
that got more complicated.
Yeah, it's definitely more it's definitely easier this way. I just told them, I said, if it's going to help you, just forget about close, near, and far, and just, you can move up to 6 squares. You can move up to 12 if you're not going to take an action. You know, if I tell you something's near, it means it's within melee range of you. If you're on that square, it's any square adjacent to you. You know, so we don't.
Yeah.
I don't really count squares except if we're doing dungeon crawling. We'll usually count out the squares and keep track of actual movement. Everything else, like if you see, like you've seen my battle mats that I have on the tables at the conventions, those are my regular game mats. I didn't buy them with any of them with grids. You know, I don't want grids for that stuff, especially outdoor stuff. I'm more like just, you know, can I move here? Sure. Yeah, that's good enough. Or no, that's a little too far. You can move to about here. You know, we kind of do it within reason.
Yeah.
The only time we might measure it out is if they do a spell effect that has a defined value. Then we might measure it out and say, you know. But other than that, we kind of stay away from the grids.
I'm enjoying Shadow Dark because it doesn't exactly like call that stuff out. It doesn't say like it's this exact length and this exact diameter, and so it's these squares and like stuff. It's just like, oh, everybody within near of where this thing lands takes damage or whatever, and that's it. And it's like, okay, cool. We can, you know, we could just say, hey, it's these, you know, figures.
It's a hard game to get started though. When my guys rolled their characters, that fighter, he rolled really well, but he rolled 20 for his starting gold. He started the adventure with no armor. He still has no armor.
We had our fighter too.
Yep. He was wearing leather. We finally get him chainmail. And that's one thing that we keep going back to Shadow Dark. He's wearing chainmail and we're like, okay, we're going to go party. And I'm looking at him like, aren't you still wearing chainmail, dude? And, you know, okay, dude, take 120 gold to buy the plate mail. And then we're done. We don't ever have to worry about it again. But we haven't. I think he's still wearing chainmail. Fine. It's not my character. I don't care. I have leather and a dagger and a crossbow.
Yeah.
My thief is good to go.
Well, I mean, he wanted the gold to get to that 300 level, you know, to get that +2. That was the priority.
And all he
it
did
was
was make
great.
a friend with another priest. So whatever. I don't care.
But yeah.
So have you
cool.
You were talking about the carousing and you were worried about it getting old. Well, what about pulling out the GM companion there from
I will. He's got
carousing stuff in there.
He does. There's that, and there's the shucked oyster stuff that I want to use from Black Lodge.
I have both of them coming. I ordered both.
It's good stuff. There's some cool things with the shucked oyster that you know that happen as part of carousing and stuff. So that's kind of neat. But yeah, my goal is to switch into that stuff. For right now, I wanted to run 6 sessions of just pure Shadow Dark.
That's what
here it is, and we're making notes, and then after that, if we're gonna go forward with it, then I'm gonna add in the extra official classes, the Bard, the Ranger, the Paladin, Warlock. I think is in the new stuff. You know, things like that, and then I'm gonna go into the different, you know, using different carousing tables and whatnot. But I wanted to just give it a go as just, you know, core book and see where it goes from there. So
yeah, I like it. I like it enough that even the few little issues that I'm having with it, just from the get-go, I think that I'm doing the same thing. We're going to run it by the book as it is for a set amount of sessions. Not sure how long, but we're going to do a set amount. Nothing but the 4 core classes, none of the Curse Scroll stuff.
Yep.
But once that time's gone through, I want to sit down with them and just say, unless there's some glaring issue that makes us not want to play it, I'm just going to be like, okay, which parts don't we like and how can we change them to fit our group?
Yeah.
Because the core of the system is great. It is definitely deadly. It is definitely deadly. But I do, you know, I think like the adventure that we're running is intended to be deadly in that respect. It doesn't always need to be that way. You know, you can run adventures that aren't nearly as deadly as this. You can add a lot more play into it. You can make it into a long form campaign without breaking anything. It's
well, that's my goal.
Yeah, the bones are there to do it.
No, that's, you know, so and it's interesting to, you know, and we'll, you and I obviously we'll keep in touch about it, but it's interesting because we're going through the same the
Yeah.
same dungeon and the same starting thing. So
Your
so
guys
it's
are way
interesting,
ahead
the
of mine.
differences and stuff.
I'm telling you, they had
These guys have just been methodical of
We have
room
been
to room
so lucky. So
yeah.
lucky. You talked about the 2 adder caps, thumped on your guys, wiped them or came close to it. We took on 5 adder caps or adder caps, whatever, and came out on top with honestly barely a
It
scratch.
was crazy.
And it was just
Crazy.
I'm watching Roger roll his dice, and I'm like, thank God, dude.
So bad.
he
and-
needs
and
better
then, like,
dice.
And then like me, I'm notorious for rolling poorly. I'm standing in the back with my crossbow, and as long as I'm not moving, I'm shooting once every round. I have a +5 to hit with my crossbow, and it only does D6 damage, so it's not like I'm going to one-shot anything. But I'm hitting consistently, which at over 3 rounds, I've done 15 points of damage. That's a dead creature. And we've just been incredibly lucky. But
Yeah.
and also, like Roger said, we've been really methodical. And a couple of streams ago, maybe it was last stream, I don't know, but I was talking about how much I love playing the thief in this. I don't have to, I know that if I walk into a room and I tell Roger I'm looking for traps, and he says, "Okay, roll your dice," I'm going to roll a 1. That is going to happen. The trap's going to go off. I'm going to be dead. Shadow Dark, I don't have to worry about that. I can relax and play my character and have a good time with it. We walk in somewhere and I think, this looks like a place that I would put a trap in. Roger, I'm looking for traps. And then if he asks me, I tell him what I'm doing, but usually he's like, you found something or you didn't find anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool.
There's no roll.
Yeah.
Well, just remember, there's no roll if there's no danger.
Right. Yeah.
And
And the book says that too.
So if you have a higher quality lock or a higher quality trap, or you have a time constraint, or you're,
Sure.
then there could be a roll, there could be disadvantage,
Yeah.
there could be a lot of factors to it. But just in a general, like, hey, we cleared this room, we're catching our breath, I'm going to go over here and try and unlock the door, then you shouldn't have to roll.
Well, yeah, but I'm really careful about that, and if Roger said you're going to have to roll to find a trap in this room, I know that there's a trap in that room if he says that. However, and Roger knows this about me, I'm a mature enough player that even if he says you're going to have to roll, and I know there's a trap in there, I'm still gonna be like, cool, roll. I didn't find anything. Okay,
Yeah.
but so as far as I'm concerned, there's no trap here, and we'll see what happens. Whether I get blown to pieces or shot with a poison dart, maybe we'll get lucky. So we talked about those the bulls, the bull statues. We kind of figured those out early on. We found one that was stuck in the wall, and we figured out how it worked, and so we unstuck it and watched it go back. And like I was timing, okay, how long does it take to go back? And so it takes about 2 rounds to get back down to the end of the track, and 1 round to get down to this end. So like I'll jump out in front and jump out of the way, so the bull starts coming down, and we know, okay, 1 round, bang, and now he goes back. So now we've got 3 rounds to cross over this pathway. He's going to go back for 2 rounds. He's coming back for 1. And we were playing Sunday. We triggered it. Bull came up. He started going back. 2 guys went across, and I said, I go across. And Roger looks at me. He's like, the 2 guys took up the 2 rounds. That bull's coming. And I said, my guy's stupid. The guy in front of him went, so he's going too. And Roger was like, okay, cool. I had to do a dex check, and by the grace of God, I did really well. So, made it past the bull, and we were okay. But we've kind of got that trap figured out. But and this is something that I was kind of like bringing Roger's attention to. The end of that hallway is well out of our circle of light.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know if that bull's coming or not until he's 30 feet away from us. And then it's ouchie time. So yeah, either way, I'm still having a good time with it. But yeah, boy, we keep coming back to this. We've just been very, very lucky, and we're trying to play it carefully, and that helps a heck of a lot.
I found
Troy,
that
Troy,
Shadow...
I did.
Okay.
Troy, I did get Will's info. I think Mike, you sent that to me.
I did.
Right. Yeah, it's contact dose. Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to be in touch with him at some point, and we'd love to get him on. I want to dive into his game a little bit first. So I want to get Shadowpunk to the table and at least give it a run. so that this way when we talk to them, we actually are all on the same page.
So one thing, one last thing I'll say about Shadow Dark. The one thing I
Yeah.
found, there is one area of Shadow Dark that fails just as badly as 5e does.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Mike.
The G-
These
this is the worst.
Jason
This
was
is
asking me about it.
this
Yeah.
is the most worthless
We
GM
talked about
GM screen I've ever seen.
No,
It
there's
is
Yep.
well, I think there's like one panel that's got useful stuff on it.
Yes,
I don't
the
remember
treasure
which panel
panel on
that
the
is.
right.
We were
It's the
looking up
treasure
something,
panel.
and
Yeah, that one, yeah.
I opened up the book, and it's on the front page. You open the book, and it's got those 2 panels of rules on it. And I was like, oh, it's right here. And I looked, I said, it's on the GM screen, isn't it? And he goes,
No.
no, it isn't. And I was
No.
like,
Yeah,
really?
I've
It's
got
not
one
in
and a
the GM
half.
screen?
1.5 panels is random names.
I've
But
got
apparently
a.
but apparently the one for the Western Reaches, when it comes out, is going to be more utilitarian,
fixed it, yeah.
more DM
There's
friendly.
there's a new version of this core screen coming out with different art on it. I've asked in Discord and nobody can seem to figure out if it says it will have a redesigned
It's going to
layout.
be different.
No,
No,
it
it's going
doesn't say.
to have different information. No, it's going to have different information on it.
Well, that was not confirmed by Kelsey in Discord because we asked.
No, okay. I think that was confirmed on the Western Reaches Kickstarter because they had a poll or whatever for it where they were asking people.
So what it says on the Kickstarter is that the layout has been changed. So you take that
I
for what
thought-
Find out.
are we just moving things around to because somebody said they were redesigning it to make it more efficient. But
No,
listen, if they come out with a new one that's got actual tables that are worthwhile in it, I'll buy it. But I had it as an add-on, and then when I was told they didn't think it was changing, it was just going to have new art and a new layout, I canceled the add-on and I figured I'll wait. You know,
yeah.
I'm going to make my own cheat sheet.
Yeah. No, I
Well,
mean,
the
yeah.
other thing too is, I mean, a lot of the information that you would need is literally on the first inside
Yeah.
cover and first page of the book. So
Yep.
I think that's part of the reason why the screen itself has different
Right.
information on it.
Yeah.
Like the core rules are right there.
So when the Western Reaches comes out, I put the add-on on there. I bought the premium book, the new one.
Yeah.
With the Smithsonian lay flat,
Mm-hmm.
that would definitely help when it comes to that because right
Yeah.
now this book you can't lay it open. You know, it just
Yeah, not
doesn't
break it in.
really. What's that?
You got to break it in.
Yeah. No matter
Mine's-
how much you break it in, I don't think you're going to lay that front page open without
I need
breaking
him
it.
right now. I need him right now. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I guess if you bend it backwards and break the spine, you can,
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know, Stan. Maybe you got a special copy or something. I don't know. Mine won't stay
Do you-
open either.
Do you have the limited one? The limited
Yeah,
edition
I don't
cover?
use that one at the table.
No, I said this.
I don't use that one at the table.
Oh, okay, that's the one I have.
I have it at the table, but I don't like using it unless I
That's
really
your
have
green
to.
cover, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I don't have that one. I wish I had, but I don't.
yeah.
That
So,
one's different
actually-
because it has different paper and everything too. So
I think
it's bigger than the standard.
yeah, I'm sitting here smiling because I'm just watching the four of us debate on this.
I guess I
I
lied.
really-
It sits open.
For me, that it's such a mark of high quality of this game that one, we keep coming back to it. We're supposed to be talking about something else. We keep coming back to it. The four of us, and I'm seeing comments and by the way, guys in the chat, I'm sorry, we're really not involving you too much in this because it is still not showing up on our screen. So I'm seeing you in the little
Yeah,
tiny
so
chat over
weird.
here, but we're not trying to ignore you. It's just the stream's not working. But we keep coming back to Shadow Dark, and the things, like we're talking about things that we don't like. Maybe you could change a little bit of this, but there's nothing that's like this breaks the game. This sucks.
No.
The worst comment we've had to make about it so far is that the GM screen could use some refinement. Holy
Yeah.
crap, dude.
Yeah.
How many times are we going to talk about Shadow Dark and we still haven't found anything about it that's like, if only, man, Kelsey did such a good job with this. It's
Yeah.
so freaking cool.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
So,
Mr. Goats.
are you guys
Shadow Dark is so good. Everybody says Shadow Dark is good. It's just so cool.
Are you guys not seeing the chat on the right?
Mm-mm.
So we
open
can
up
see it,
separate chat
Mike.
panels
We
and
could
that's
see it
how I
on the
can-
right, on the through Restream, but
Oh.
the video that I see that has the 5 of us or the 4 of us with the thing to the right of that, there's just a blank blue rectangle
Mhm.
for me.
Yeah,
That's what I'm seeing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I
seeing.
got.
That's supposed to be showing us the chat that's on the stream.
Oh,
I don't know if I,
I
can
can see it in the chat
change
window.
it to go there, and then
Now it's gone.
see if well, I tried to disable and then re-enable it, but it's not working. Can't see it.
Yeah,
Everybody else
I
out
don't- I
there
always-
can supposedly see it. So
I only see the ones that you highlight or whatever. That pop up.
Yeah.
So,
um
I have to
but,
go check that YouTube channel.
So
yeah, I mean there should be a chat button on the right that you can get that'll pop out that'll show you the
Mhm.
chat. But
yeah, if you click
But
the
yeah.
chat button, it comes up and it shows there.
it'll show you there, and everybody else can see it at home. So that's that was my main concern anyway. So that's so that seems to be working. So that's fine. So I'm okay with that, and I've checked it. I can see it if I look on YouTube. So, but yeah, another restream glitch. No, yeah, another restream
Could
glitch.
be.
At least nobody's dropping out like it was last week, and I saw that was happening on Tank Cars
Yeah.
stuff, and I think was that happen on your channel as well, Death Angel? I know there was another channel that I saw that things were dropping in and out, but yeah. So where were we about minis? How far did we get in that?
We were talking about our early miniature experiences and whether we liked it or not.
Early miniature experiences. Yeah.
And I haven't
You know,
got
when
to
you
go
talk about whether or not they're needed, I mean, you saw the pictures from my game. I'm not using any terrain this.
Yeah.
I spent a little bit of money because I went and printed them out, blueprint, scaled it up to 1-inch squares. So my entire
cool.
table is covered with a map.
Yeah.
The map of the dungeon. And I'm not really hiding it. I decided for this time around, there's no fog of war. It's working as it is. And it's fine. They're having a hard enough time as it is getting used to it. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And they're like Jason, it's if they try and it's like when you got a thief, he goes to hide in shadows. Okay, make a roll. He's going to roll it out there and he fails it and he goes, well, I think I'm hiding. It's not going to change because he's already decided what he's doing. So whether he pass or fail, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
That's one of Roger's house rules, and I love this house rule. I'm going to hide in shadows. I'm going to move over behind the orc. Okay, you move behind the orc, and now roll your hide. Now we're going to find out whether or not the orc knows you're there. I really like that. That way, I rolled a 2. I don't want to do that. No. You've already committed. That's what you're doing.
Now in AD&D, the way we did it was if you said I want to go over there and hide in shadows, I would roll it behind a screen.
Yeah.
And okay, you move over and hide in the shadows. And you think you're hidden. You might not be. You'll find out real quick.
Yeah. That was the old school rules. Is the DM will roll them. Some DMs don't. I've played with Greg Gillespie and his Dragon Slayer, and he's like, no, roll. And that's one of the things that Greg has said. We're all adults. Roll, see what you get, act accordingly. I am all for that. It's just you know what players you can trust and what players you can't. And I remember being young, sitting to the table and being like, I made it. I didn't make it.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, that's become far less important for me. So
I had a player just a year and a half ago at my table. He used to be in my group 30 years ago. Hadn't seen him in forever. He rejoined us. And he's a fun player because he's like off the wall. He's that guy that'll do all kinds of crazy shit in the game, and it's entertaining. But he tries to get away with everything, tries to cheat any way he can. And I had one of my other players sitting next to him, and after the game, he's like, dude, I watched him. Every time he'd roll his dice, I'd watch him roll a 2 until he hit, and
We've
I'm
had
like,
that player, or actually,
Yeah.
Rogers had that player.
That
Yeah.
crap drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
That
It's
player
just a
would
game.
watch me roll a die, and I will roll terribly, and he'll look at me dead serious and say, "I didn't see it," and
Yeah.
I'm like, "I saw it."
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no, this is just
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons, man. I'm not going to lie about my dice roll.
Right.
We've had guys do that, and it's just it's whatever. It's annoying.
So
Can I
another
talk
thing, I
about
wish.
my early miniature experience? Because I
Yeah.
haven't gotten to go yet.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Go ahead.
So early on, I got my first D&D stuff because one of my best friends stopped playing. I'd been playing since fourth grade, but I didn't know anything. But then I think I was in seventh grade. I was in middle school. One of my friends who was very wealthy stopped playing, and he basically gave me all his D&D stuff. It was all first ed, the
Wow.
Easley covers, or Orange Spine Easley covers. That's what he gave me. And after that, I was in heaven. But there was no game store anywhere near me. Like, I didn't even know such a thing existed. We had a Walden Books and a B. Dalton, so that's where the books were. But I could never afford to buy that sort of stuff. I was freaking 12. So we didn't have miniatures. I remember just using a piece of notebook paper and drawing dots. Here's your fighter, and how big is my fireball? It's this big. Okay, and it's never a problem. And it's I kind of compare it to early graphics on computer games to late graphics on computer games. I remember playing Asheron's Call. It's one of the early MMOs. And I remember it having incredible graphics. And I played it again a couple years ago, and I was like, wow, the graphics are really horrible on this game. But my mind, like everybody else that was playing, our mind made the graphics look great. And it was the same thing with Theater of Mind playing the miniatures. I didn't need to have a miniature on the table because in my head, and all the other players at the table, in our heads, we had a heroic fighter, an old wizard, a sexy cleric, or whatever. So we all had that in our heads. And so my first miniature was a pewter wizard. I grew up in South Florida, and every year my parents and my family, we would go down to Key West for a couple of days. That was our big summer vacation. We go to Key West, we would camp out in the Keys, and we went to Key West, and there was a mineral gem store, one of those hippie places. And the guy had a bunch of wizards, little pewter wizards in a glass case. And I saw it, and it was the first time I'd ever seen a miniature like that. And it was a wizard that had a staff, and he had a little gem on the top of the staff. It was reflecting in the sunlight. And I saw it, and I was blown away by it. I couldn't believe that this was the wizard. And so my mom bought it for me. It probably didn't cost but a couple of bucks. This would have been 85. And I took it home, and I wanted to paint it. And fortunately, my mom talked me out of painting it. She's like, it's pewter. Maybe don't paint it. Just kind of use it the way it is. And so I didn't. But then I knew that we had a mineral store like that in town. So I rode my bike 14 miles into town to go to the store, and they had a whole bunch of them. And so after that, I was like, I need these miniatures, except they were pewter. So for my unemployed ass, they were very expensive. But then 2 years later, a game shop finally opened up in Naples, where I grew up. And and so then Ral Partha, Grenadier, those incredible miniature companies, that world opened up to me. And now I was 13. I was working under a table. I was a busboy at a Mexican restaurant and a dishwasher. So I made $20 a week. And that $20 went to the game store, where I was just buying miniature after miniature after miniature. And so of course I painted them all. And just like with the old graphics being like, oh, this looks really good. I remember as a kid painting my miniatures and thinking, this looks amazing. And now if I saw them, I'd probably be like, oh God. But at the time, man, they were incredible.
I had a bunch that like that, Jason. My buddy that I grew up with, that we grew up gaming together. We ordered like some Ralph Parther box sets, and we got them. And I remember I was in my 20s. We got them in our early teens, but when I was in my 20s, I was playing D&D again. I was like, oh, I'll paint these guys. And I remember painting. I used like Testors shitty enamel model paint.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I thought they
for
were
model
great.
cars.
Yeah, and they sucked. but I still have, so fast forward now, like I've been painting steadily for like over 20 years. I still have like the first, when I decided I was going to paint miniatures, and how that happened for me was, like I said earlier, I always liked them, was always into them. Well, Dragon magazine, for a while, they had an article in the back, and it was all about paint miniatures. It's when they had their chainmail game during third edition. So I would read those articles, and I was like, I think I could do that, so I started buying stuff, and I had this old, I still have it, this old Warhammer Quest, the original Warhammer Quest game.
Yeah.
And there's a Minotaur in there, and I painted that, and I still have it, and it's awful. And but
at the time,
it's really bad, and I've come a little ways since then.
So check this out. My father-in-law used to play. He's gone now, but he used to play Dungeons and Dragons back in the 70s. And when my wife and I got married, he and I ended up talking about Dungeons and Dragons somehow. My wife knew that he played D&D when she was a kid. So about hang on a second. My wife's bringing me tea. She must have heard me.
Yeah. So Edgelord, he does slap chop. Yeah. Prime with black, dry brush white. Sometimes you do a like a zenithal with that or whatever. So you come from the top and do the white and then do speed paint. Yeah. And it works really, really well.
So about 6 months after my wife and I were married, I got these in the mail.
Oh, those are great.
Oh, nice.
And all the miniatures are in here, and most of them are unpainted. He painted one of them. But the thing that made me laugh about it is the AD&D Action Art Painting Guide. It's
nice.
It is paint by numbers for D&D miniatures.
That's awesome.
And all the paints are still in this thing. I have no idea if they're dry or not. I don't want to open them up. But I'm looking at it, and I'm like, eventually I will need to paint these things. I don't know if I can bring myself to do it, man. I'm just like, these things are 40 years old. I'm just so cool that I have these things. So
I'm not a huge fan of Reaper paints, but when I first got started, I bought a bunch of those Reaper kits. They come in a little black case, and they would come with all the paints you needed and a guide on how to paint each one. And they had ones that were, would teach you dry brushing and teach you different techniques. They'd come with the brushes and whatnot. And those were a good start. I mean, I'd recommend them to anybody that wanted to try it. I just don't like the Reaper paints. I don't know, they just.
I used the Reaper paints for a long time. I mean,
I use,
and they're all right.
Stuff, but I have a bunch of them.
I think they need to
I still have a lot of them.
The Reaper paints need to be thinned a little bit, and then I think they're okay. I mean, I don't know.
Edgelord mentioned slap chop, and then you guys talked about it. I have no idea what that is. Can you please explain what that is?
He kind of mentioned it. So basically, you just Stan. You want to take that, Stan?
Yeah. So actually, remember one of those you asked me one time about prepping a miniature and painting a miniature, Jason. I put up the first video was god awful, but basically that's how I did it, right? So usually you don't have to do it this way, but usually you prime it in black, and depending on what you do, some people go right to white as a dry brush over it, and then but sometimes I'll do gradients of that, like depending on what I'm doing. If it's something I don't really want to put a lot of time and effort into, I'll just go to white, but I'll do like a gray and then I'll do a white. And then what it's designed to be used with is like speed paints or contrast paints, stuff like that. So what happens is once you've done that prep, black, gray, white, say, then you go over it with a speed paint. It does the shading for you. So Games Workshop, when they first released contrast paints, that's their version. They put out, I think, some of the worst videos on how to use those. Because I bought a bunch and then I followed their instructions. I bought, their white primer or their off-white primer and tried using them, and my results completely sucked. And it wasn't until I saw a video about the slap chop method and I tried it,
Yeah.
and I had enough good results where I was like, okay, I won't throw these in the trash. That I kept doing it. And I think I was telling Death Angel in the chat, the thing I like about Slap Chop, one, it is fast. So like if you just want to put something on the table, which is what most game masters want to do, it's great. And you can get really good results. Once you get it, it takes a little bit of practice. The big thing with like any speed paint or contrast paint or any whatever they call it, every brand has a different name for it, is brush control is the big thing, right? You
Yeah.
have to, you don't want to get stuff in other areas because then you got to like do all
then
those
it's a pain.
stages again,
Yeah.
the prep stuff again. Whereas with regular paint, there's stages of regular painting where it doesn't matter where you get the paint.
I
You're
remember
going to
you
cover it
tell
up anyway with more paint.
yeah, and
but with speed paints, it's different. You want really good brush control, which it'll teach you if you keep at it. Like
I think we
which is a great
discussed
skill
that
to have.
in our group chat, and you and Roger were telling me about that.
Yeah,
I used to have hundreds of miniatures, and I gave them all to Roger. I got tired of seeing, my plastic miniatures that I knew I was never going to paint, and
I've
even the
given away
ones that,
bags of miniatures.
yeah, and even the ones that were like the full color ones that came with the WizKids games way back
Yeah.
when. I was just like, man, just take these. We'll use them. We're playing. I'm never going to touch them. Just take them. So I've got, I think I have 3 miniatures now, and one of them is Yohai. One of them's a ranger that I used to play all the time, and the other's another ranger. That's what I got.
Actually, what you just said reminded me of something that would play back into what we talked about earlier about affordability, right?
Mhm.
One of the ways, if you're looking to get into using miniatures and terrain and stuff, one way to get a lot of really good miniatures for the most part are some of these fantasy board games. So
Mhm.
Oh,
you can
yeah.
buy these fantasy board games. I buy them. I have the entire Trudvang board game miniatures game. I'll never play that game. But when
You told us
Dragon
about
Trudvang
your
launched,
acquisition of that.
I will
Yeah.
have all the miniatures for it. And I buy box like Cthulhu Death May Die is one, it's an awesome game. Like if you haven't played that game, you're wrong. Like it's a freaking awesome game. But
Yeah.
the miniatures for that are awesome. And I'm looking
Massive
at those and
Darkness
I'm
is
like,
another one. Yeah.
oh, I could use those and I could use these in a Hyperborea game because there's so much Cthulhu mythos stuff in Hyperborea. Like I just saw when I was playing Mothership the other day, the game master is a painter, so we play his painting stations right there, and I always end up sitting next to it. And I was looking at it, and he had like all these really great like serpent men, and I was like, "Where are those from?" And he's like, "Oh, that's from the 3rd season of Cthulhu Death May Die, which is the only one I don't have." And I'm like, "Well, I gotta correct that." But that's a great way to get into miniatures, and the quality on
Yeah.
a lot of them can be really good. It can also be crap depending on who you buy from, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
great games out there that make some really awesome miniatures. But
I've got
Just
Shadows
wanted
of
to put that out
Brimstone, the original, the cowboy one, and I got a bee in my bonnet not long ago, and I assembled all the miniatures. I spent a couple days just gluing everything together. Many of them are god awful miniatures. The quality is terrible. There's huge gaps. I've got my yellow and blue or whatever it is, that putty. I just need to fill those gaps in. And so I could practice painting on that stuff because the monsters they're like purple and black. That's the monster. And so then I'll save the PC characters, all
So
those
I'll
PC
just-
models after I've got a little bit of experience on them because I don't want to mess my cowboys up. I want them to look cool.
Yeah, I did the same thing when I was learning to paint. Like it was about the same time as the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out.
Mm.
So Games Workshop, which they still make, it's one of their most popular games. They make the Lord of the Rings games, and
Mhm.
I would buy those miniatures because I love those movies and that my favorite setting. And I got a ton of them from Christmas. My first wife bought me like a pile of them, but for the longest time I wouldn't paint any of them, and because I really liked them, so I wanted my skills to be better, and that's fine.
Right.
Grab some stuff that's like that stuff. That's great. Now, it can be frustrating too, though. Like, some miniatures are just like super easy to paint, and you get really good results without a lot of effort. And then there's some, like, I'm talking about the WizKids character miniatures, which I think are total crap.
They're
Now,
garbage.
some of their monster miniatures are great. Their character miniatures suck ass, in my opinion, and it's really hard to get consistent results with them. A lot of it has to do with there's too much primer on them. The primer is
Yeah.
way too thick. But there's other ones. Like, I got a box full of stuff I just got today that I started assembling next to me, and these things, just when you prime them up, they're awesome. They're just a joy to paint. So the cheap ones are great to practice on, but recognize that you might be getting frustrated because the miniature itself, it isn't that,
Okay.
Yeah.
that great of a mini to
Yeah.
paint. It's not you, it's actually the miniature. Like, it's just like, this is not.
Honestly,
I have that with all sorts of brands. That happens to me.
the only miniature I care about, like that I keep telling myself that when you come to see and why I'm going to hand it to you and ask you to paint it, is my Yohai. I've talked about Yohai endlessly on this cast. I love the character. He has become my all-time favorite character. And I went to Hero Forge, and man, I think I spent 2 weeks tweaking that Yohai.
Yeah.
Until I got the miniature that I was like, there he is. Holy crap, that's Yohai. Saved it, bought the STL, and then I sent the STL to Sunforge. Is that his
Solar
company?
Forged.
Solar
Solar
Forge.
Forge. Yeah.
I sent it to Solar Forge. I met him at MEPA and was like, how much? And he was like, oh, it was like $2 for the miniature, and then $4 for shipping. It was just some ridiculously cheap price. And so I sent him, the most expensive thing was the STL that I bought. I think that was 12. So I sent it, and then a couple weeks later I get the miniature, and I looked at it and I was like, it's freaking Yohai, man. I was just like beside myself because that was Yohai sitting there. And so every time we played, and up until I retired him, boom, he's wrapped in plastic. He's stuck inside a Chessex dice cube. I'm always really careful with him. So he's got to get painted, and it's got to be done perfectly. So clearly it's got to be Decado that paints him, because I sure as hell can't do it.
God,
No pressure.
You know what I like? You know what I like for minis? If you want to get a bunch of minis, very inexpensive and good minis, is North Star Miniatures.
yeah.
They're based out of the UK, but you can also buy their stuff off of Amazon and get it
You go.
locally. I like the Frostgrave line, the Oathmark line.
Yeah.
I've got the Frostgrave
yeah.
minis. They're just awesome for D&D. They really are. And
The only thing I'll say about them.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
The only thing I'll say about them, I like them too. I like them. Is if it's not an issue for you, it's not an issue. Their scale, they're a little small compared to, like, not small, like the scale in general in the hobby has gone way up. Like, it's no longer 25 millimeter miniatures.
Right.
Like, it's more like 30, 32. So they're a little bit,
Yeah.
they're not 25 mil, they're in between, but they're great. And you can go to a website called Badger Games, and they're US based, and they carry a lot of that. So they carry a crap ton of stuff. And North Star is some of it. Like, they carry a lot of that stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah. They got that new game Oathmark, and I was looking at those
Yep.
minis, and they're amazing. You can get, like, full armies of dwarves, and
Yeah,
they're just
those are good stuff.
and for me, if I'm going to do something like that, that's even easier than 3D printing them.
Yeah.
They're just, and they're more durable.
Yep. There's so many, like there's one game I've been looking at, and I do this all the time. Like, I've gone into, like, official Games Workshop stores, and I needed a bunch of undead, and even Games Workshop now. Workshop has its faults, obviously, and price is one of them. But there are, if you know what you're looking at, there's ways to get deals, right? And they used to have these starter box sets, and they still kind of do that.
Yeah.
Around Christmas time. But I went in and bought, like, a starter set of one of the undead, and it had, like, a shit ton of, like, ghoul-like characters. And the guy asked me, he's like, "Oh, are you playing, like, the whatever faction it is?" And I'm like, "No, man, I'm using these in my D&D game." And, like, all the guys in the store were like, oh, like it never dawned on them. And they were
Yeah,
like,
right.
that's a really good idea. And I'm like, yeah, no, I thought of it. Just created it, you know, like I was
I just want to hit this quick. Yeah, Dion Blackwell. He's the one that does the Horde Wars game. That I think just came out, or Advanced Horde Wars just came out, I think. But we're pretty full up on vendor spots. I'll have to look and see what's available, but have them shoot me a message or fill out a vendor form on the site, and we'll see what we can do. So, definitely, board games and things like that. Yeah, and the Warhammer minis and stuff are generally super expensive, but they do have like the starter sets or sometimes
around
on
Christmas
clearance or something.
They'll put out like their Christmas boxes, and those are actually like, if you're looking to get that stuff, you can get like sticker shock when you look at the tag for the box, right? But if you break down what's in there, you're saving money. You're saving money. Like I was looking to get, they had a box of their trolls. I didn't end up getting it, but I was probably saving at least $60 if I was to buy all those things in there individually. I was saving $60 by buying the box set. This stuff in there is just like, when the old starter sets, they would put things in there that if you bought that miniature alone, you would pay for the entire starter box set.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't get into it, but I'm like, they do have some cool stuff that you can throw on the table, but there's so many things now, like board game, like the board game thing is huge. Cause like I got gifted a box of the zombie side, like the Asian themed one. I don't play the game, but like a friend that owns the store, they had a damaged box and he was like, hey, do you want this? And I was like, it's a box of miniatures. Of course I do. So God knows when I'll use it, but I'll take it. And they're super nice. Like you look through and like, holy crap, like these are great, like these are really cool.
Yeah. I bought Bard Sung. I got that, and it was on like clearance on, I think it was Miniature Market, and it was like $20. and I bought it, and it's got like a handful of just cool, minis there.
Yeah, there was, I don't remember the name of this game. It was a miniatures game. And back when I was running 5e and I was just buying, I still buy a lot of miniatures, but I was really diving into the miniatures and stuff with my son. This game went belly up, and Amazon like had a ton of it, and they were just like trying to get rid of it. And I was looking through, I still have tons of that crap that I haven't finished painting, it's kicking around, but it was super cheap. So there's ways to get into it where you're not, you don't have to go out and spend $18,000 for a full spread of Dwarven Forge Kickstarter, which is ridiculously priced. And I say that having a basement full of the stuff is ridiculously priced. There's ways to do it, so.
Yeah. Well, and even, even with like terrain and stuff, like, I mean, back in the day, and I don't think I use any of it now, but, just buying some of the insulating foam from, Home Depot there, like the 1-inch foam, you can make dungeon tiles or,
super
stone
easy.
or brick stuff, brick walls and everything.
I still do that.
It's really easy. Yeah.
I was coming out of Lowe's.
I don't know if they have it on the table, but
I was coming out of Lowe's on Sunday, and there was a dude loading up 3 2-inch 4 foot by 6 or 8, whatever it comes by, sheets of that. And I was just looking at that, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to roll that guy, because I could use all that.
Yeah.
I just bought a sheet of that the other day to make my photo booth. That stuff's gotten expensive. It was like $45.
Yeah.
A 4x8 sheet was like $45.
Yeah. If you drive by construction sites, though, where obviously like now up here in the Northeast, it's winter, but like in the spring and summer, you find like houses that are getting sided, people putting siding on the house, and they'll put that foam board, they'll put 1 inch or 2 inch on the side of the house first before they put the thing on. man, you find scraps. You
Yeah,
find scraps
I-
around those houses. Grab that stuff up, and you can make dungeon tiles and stone and all sorts.
When I was working construction, that is exactly what I did. We used the 2-inch foam for insulating basements and things like that. And at the end of the day, you can use most of it in construction, like you're filling in holes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like all the scraps, I would be throwing it in my car, and my boss would see me doing it. Jason, what are you doing? I was like, I'm making hills and mountains out of this when I get home.
Yeah.
And
My
I was just looking through my phone to see if I had any photos of it so I could show you. And I've got like 4 different brands stacked up to be a mountain. And you just use the foam glue that you can buy at any hardware store. It's like $5 a tube. Glue that stuff, put some weight on it, clamp it down. It'll never come apart. Works perfectly every time.
If
I
you're using
worked with a
construct-
guy who was building his house, and he I mentioned it. I don't know how he and I got talking about that one day. Or I must have just asked him if he had any scrap. He's like, dude, I got a ton. Come take whatever you want. So I went over one day while I was working in my cruiser at an SUV, and his basement was full of it, like just a pile of. And I filled my cruiser full of that stuff and drove it home. I finally used it all up, so I don't have any
Nice.
more. But it took me years. Like I had tons of that stuff.
So I wanted to bring up something else. Can you bring that picture up full screen, Roger?
Yeah.
Yeah, I paused it there. So this is another option here. I made these years ago. I have a whole a case full of them, which I can't show you because the laptop I'm using is sitting on top of it to raise it up. But so what those wood blocks are is it was laminate flooring. We had a ton of it left over. So we just set a guide on a table saw, and we cut it into strips, and then they were too thin, so we just glued 2 strips together. I have an entire case, probably 500, 600 pieces in the case of all that. And for a long time, I just used that. And it was just like when they go into a room, I just throw down some blocks and make up the room. It cost me next to nothing. I mean, I used a sponge in a couple different colors and just literally sponge the texture onto it, and that's it.
And with it having multiple layers, because it was too thin, that's great because now it looks like multiple layers of stone.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And it's just I still use it today. Like there will be some sessions where I'm like, I don't feel like putting terrain out. So I will just pull out that box and make up rooms as we go.
Yeah. I've brought to one shots and stuff. I've brought Jenga blocks. I've bought like a cheap set of Jenga and just like not even painted, and have just laid that out as walls of a dungeon on a table just to kind of show people, hey, look, you can kind of do this thing.
See, there's another one, and they were in a dungeon.
Here, let me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
So I had these little pillars. I raised it up, and they were like, there were rafters up above in the ceiling, and they were, all the kobolds were hiding out up there and stuff. It's something simple, but it definitely serves its purpose.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. Man, this thing takes forever when I click it. There it goes.
Oh,
okay. Now
comments are here.
Comments are starting to show up.
We're getting comments.
Now they're starting to show up. So I disappeared them by maximizing the thing there, and then now comments are coming back on the thing. Wow.
There you go.
Okay. And hopefully you guys can still see the comments out there. Let me know if you guys can see them now, because I don't know what's going on. Restream being restreamed. I don't know. They're continually improving.
Yeah. But
they keep adding features, but every time they do, sometimes things get mucked with. So, so I mean, foam is great. And like, construction sites, things like that. It's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're coming in. Yeah. But yeah, they are big words. They're big words. We did that just for you, Vince. But I don't know why they're what if I do that? That's probably worse.
Jesus, I gotta go put glasses on now.
Well, yeah, but that's
Reading
not for
glasses.
us. There we go.
Right
Okay.
there. There you go.
That's
Okay.
okay. That's good.
Good. We're good. Look at that. Okay. Everybody happy now? All the
All
old
right.
Time to
folks.
start over. So we
Trying
were
to-
talking about Shadow Dark.
Let's start over. Yeah, take it from the top, guys.
We're going Shadow Dark with a foray into Fallout, and it'll be good.
So don't mention Fallout. We don't need another 45
But it's a
minutes.
great game.
No.
By the way, Zagig, New Vegas. If you're gonna pick one, man, start with New Vegas. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
There you go. So, yeah, wow. So minis, yeah. So we, I crafted stuff back in the day and whatnot, and you know, all these companies started to come around. I remember seeing all these companies for terrain. Obviously, the miniature companies have been around for a long time, because back when, I mean, even, back when I started, there was Grenadier and Raul Partha and whatnot, and they were, and I think, I'm not sure, but I think all those companies were making, war game stuff, so they were kind of already set up to do casting and whatnot. So, so I think it was an easier transition for them to, to get into the fantasy models and stuff. And then, and then we saw, plastic minis kind of came about. And, I think that's where, like Reaper started to shine. Like, well, I mean, they did a lot of pewter stuff, and then they switched over to plastic, and because I think injection molding got a lot better than it used to be. Because I remember like the original Hero Quest minis. I mean, I have fond memories of them. I still have some of them. I use some of them, but they're kind of, the heavy mold lines, and they were. Not as much detail as you see now with, with some of the minis. And then terrain, I don't really remember seeing terrain companies pop up until maybe in the last like decade or so. I don't know, when like, wow, I'm blanking on the name. What is Dragon Forge? What's the
Dwarven Forge.
the high end? Dwarven Forge. Yeah. Like, I don't remember when they started.
He's been around
but,
longer than 10 years. He's
10
been
years,
around a long
20
time.
years. Yeah, right. I mean, 20 years, maybe
20 plus.
20 plus years. And that's always been like high end stuff, which is great stuff. I mean, if you can afford it, it's fantastic. But yeah, in the 3 year, yeah. So that was 2008 or something, right? So yeah, all right. So 20 years, yeah. Geez, it's just me like thinking back, and like things that seem like were 10 years ago or really 20 years ago. That's what happens when you get old, folks. Don't do that. But yeah, and then 3D printing came around, and it seemed like it just exploded. And Mike, maybe you're a better versed.
I will say for a long time there was a big part of the hobby that stuck their nose up at 3D printing.
Yeah,
They were
sure.
like, "Oh, it's garbage. I'm buying metal minis and Dwarven Forge." Okay, well, if you got that money, go for it.
Yeah,
I got into 3D printing, so I started out when I finally got into minis and stuff. So my first batch of minis actually was at a local game store. We had a few back in town. They never lasted. So one opened up. I went to it one time, and then it was gone. Well, I walked in, and they had a bucket of minis, and it was all common stuff sitting on the counter, and they were $1 a piece, or they were like 3 for $2 or something. And
Wow.
I walked out with a whole freaking bag full of them, and it was like tons of orcs and gnolls and kobolds and all the common stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. And that got me started. And then I started buying the WizKids stuff. And pretty quickly, they started out okay in the first couple sets. The price went up. The quality went down. The paint is horrible on them. I mean,
yeah.
and they just don't have the details. So they can't do much better with the paint when there's no detail. I mean, they can, but they're not going to spend the time and effort on it.
Right.
It's not like,
Right. Well, they got to batch paint them
Well-
and get them out, because they got to,
yeah,
they gotta
I'm not
turn
even.
profit. They're not selling detailed stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, and I know you already know this, but you know, like I bought a lot of those WizKids things, and you know, the appeal was, you know, they were mass produced. It was like 425 for a pack of two,
Yeah.
and you know, it was fifth edition. So you know, it's like, oh, I'm playing a Tiefling Rogue. Oh, here's the Tiefling Rogue. You know, I'm playing a Bard in a wheelchair. Here's a Bard in a wheelchair. Stupidest miniature ever created, by the way. But I digress. But you know, it was aimed towards fifth edition, and I remember I was playing fifth edition, so you know, it was aimed towards that crowd where it, you know, it what was it, Nazgul's collection or something like that. It was like any PC that you could possibly be playing, they had that miniature ready for you to just take off the shelf and put on the table. And so, you know, for me, that was the big appeal for it. Oh, Human Ranger, here we go. Elven Ranger, here we go. You know, Human Thief, here we go. It was all ready to go, and it was dirt cheap. So you know, that was a really big thing. You know, but then, you know, then we start talking about terrain, and terrain was the exact opposite side of the coin. Hard to find, crazy expensive, until thankfully 3D printing came out. And you know, and we've told this story about meeting you, Mike, at Page. You know, I was standing there looking at your trees, you know, that whole woodland scene, and I was just dumbstruck by it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what's this going to cost me? And I don't remember what you told me, but I was like, are you kidding me? Because it was like 1/10 of what I was expecting to hear. And
Well,
you know,
I will say over the years I've learned a little bit that I started off very much undervaluing my time and my work into it. You know, I have had to raise my prices a little bit, but I'm still, I think, way under what most people expect and what you'd find. You know, I see people,
Yeah.
I saw people at Page selling miniatures unpainted for ungodly prices. That I'm
Mhm.
like, that's ridiculous. You know, it's,
yeah.
I don't know.
And I was going to save this
Um,
until after the show, but I'll ask you now. Every time I see the slide of your Western stuff, like,
yeah,
is that stuff on your Etsy?
it is not. It is
And
not.
you said you can scale it to 1 to 87. That's HO scale. I'm interested
Yeah.
in a lot of that Western stuff, so we need to talk later,
Okay.
because I would like
Okay.
to set that out. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't see it all, but there's, I think I printed all the buildings. There might be a couple that I didn't get to yet. And they do have some that are the standard building and the sign is blank, so you could put whatever you want on it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
the
yeah, it's-
general store and mercantile. Every time I see that, you know, there were general stores all over America in the 1800s. But if it says mercantile, that is Old West. That's
Yeah.
where you see that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But
I'm
you've got
super
you've got
interested in that.
I mean, I'm just looking at them here, and you've got a saloon, you've got the hotel, you got
Yeah.
the sheriff's building with the jail next to it. You've got a train station. You've got a bank, gunsmith. There's a bakery, a general store, tobacco trade, cafe. There's a church. There's a lot. There's tons of buildings there. I mean, I've got somewhere in here. There's a picture of like most of it laid out on the table. Here, you don't need to blow it up. I'll just scroll through and find it. You'll be able to see it.
Okay.
God, man.
114 photos in here. Man, it scrolls through them fast. It really does. I keep seeing the. So
That's I keep seeing that, and I'm like, okay, I need one of each.
yeah. So the hell to go. Yeah. So you can see a bunch of them there. You
Yeah.
can see the sheriff and the jail up top. There's the Sunset Telegraph, the bank. You know, there's tons of stuff there. It's very, very cool.
I love painting buildings. I love doing architecture. And one of the reasons that I like doing it is for me anyway, it is so much more forgiving than painting people miniatures. You know,
oh, it
if
is
there's,
definitely.
you know, like I've got a water tower. The first thing that I was really happy with, I've got two models that I'm super happy with. One is an old barn, and the other is a water tower. And when I finished the water tower and the shanty, I sat it down, and I looked at it, and I was like, that is just about flawless. Like it made me happy seeing this miniature, which is usually not the effect they have. And I was looking at them, and I'm like, I'm seeing little little imperfections, little brush strokes out of place. I'm like, well, that looks like wood grain. This looks great. Whereas if, that misplaced brush stroke is going to put a slash of brown across my dude's face, and I'm like, oh. So it's so much more relaxing for me to paint my buildings. So yeah,
terrain's way easier to paint. Like I have the same experience. Like there's, because I do paint terrain, build terrain, and stuff like that. And it's I built that. Some people might have saw it. I shared it with you guys that I redid that ruin that I made, and painting
great.
that, I was like, oh man, this is so much freaking easier than dealing with miniatures.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy. Yeah. I definitely enjoy terrain over, the people. I guess monsters, generally the larger monsters or whatever, aren't that bad. Unless they got a super amount of detail on them. But painting people and trying to do faces and stuff, I'm like, oh man.
My least favorite thing to paint is animals, like real animals, like horses, dogs, shit like that. For whatever reason, I'm like, I get lost. I'm like, how the hell do you paint this? I can do it, but
if you screw something up, it's so familiar to the human eye, you're going to notice it.
Yeah, big time.
With a fantasy character, you could screw something up and people just think that's, how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's how it works. Yep. Exactly.
Exactly. With the terrain, you're right. So terrain is much easier. And that's part of why I focus on it with the business. The other part is because nobody sells painted table ready terrain.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to go for Dwarven Forge, but you're going to really pay for that painted.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really expensive stuff. And that was, that was really part of the reason why, I chose to get a 3D printer, because I started looking into, terrain and how much it was going to cost. And then I started doing the math. And then, so I got a small 3D printer and I started doing some tiles and stuff with it. And then, fast forward a few years, I ended up talking to you at Page, and basically, ended up buying the bamboo, and that's pretty much strictly what I use it for. Obviously, there's some other things that I print and whatnot, but I just print terrain, to use terrain buildings and stuff, and sometimes I print minis. I know that. I talked to Fire Giants. Yeah. Well, so the Fire Giants. So I didn't bring those over.
Are they red?
I have 3D. No. They're orange.
Oh,
Fire Giants are orange. Frost Giants are blue.
Your Minotaur.
Well, listen,
your Minotaur's red.
Yes.
Yeah. Roger.
There he is. Look, there's the Minotaur. Yeah, but look, for something cheap and easy to put on the table.
I know.
That's not a thing. Yes. All right. It's.
Do you know what they remind me of? When you showed me, you know what they remind me of?
Board
games. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And I've got Driders that I've done,
which have also been stand-ins for Addercaps.
And I've got a bunch of skeletons. But what's great about this, right, is I print a bunch of skeletons in white. Now I could probably give these guys a brown wash, or just dip them all in, just drop them all into a bucket of brown wash or something. They'd be fine.
You really should probably still prime them.
Well, right. Prime them all and then do that. No, I get it. But look,
I love the reaction from the professional painters. Roger's like, yeah, just do this. And both Ducato and Mike are both like,
no. But what I'm saying, right, is I can basically, I could print, and this is what I did. I took these goblins and I print 50 of them, and they're all in green, and now I can put 50 goblins on the table, and it's easy. I didn't have to, paint them and all of that stuff.
That's what he did with the ice giants or frost giants. We came into a frost giant lair a long time ago, and there were 2 at the entrance, and we're like, okay, get them. So we managed to get them. So we go inside, and I'm like, okay, there's going to be 5 frost giants in here. He puts 5 frost giants down. Then he just kept going with the Frost Giants, and I was like, Jesus Christ, how many Frost Giants? There was like 14 of the friggin' things. It was touch and go for quite a while. Fortunately, our wizard was hot and heavy with the fireball, and that helped a lot. But yeah, he just kept placing them on the table,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh no.
No, I get
So
it, Edgelord. You know, Shadem. I know. I'm just saying for quick to get the stuff to the table
Yeah.
quick that looks remotely
know.
like the thing. That's
I'll give you a little
ahead.
story. So I got this in the mail yesterday. So
Yeah,
this is from Michael Putlak, and it's just it's about converting monsters from other games to Shadow Dark, and it comes with this little thing, this little card here. It's a little cheat sheet for it. So I showed up and I told Roger, and he goes, "Yeah, I got that." He goes, "I don't really see a need for it." I go, "Well, it's for converting monsters," and he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Well, you could just guess at it, but this actually has a formula for it." He goes, "I think my guessing's pretty good." And I said to him, I go, "Yeah, but you think unpainted minis, painting a solid color minis is acceptable. So your judgment's just suspect." I said, "So, that disqualifies you right there."
It's like playing Warhammer. You will never see someone put an unpainted Warhammer mini out because the rest of the store will throw him out of his ass. You paint that shit before it goes on the table.
I mean,
I want to show up. I want to show up to a Warhammer tournament with 3D printed, like badly 3D printed Space Marines that are just printing like a teal blue, and I'm gonna call them I forget what the blue ones are called, but yeah.
So that's a double-edged sword there, because remember I told you when 3D printing came out, people in the hobby were really kind of against it. Warhammer players still are against it.
Sure.
Right.
And
I get that. I get that.
And then now Games Workshop has been actively going after creators that are making models that are even just similar.
Yeah. No, and I understand that, because that, to me, that's the same as the counterfeiting Magic cards or Pokemon cards or whatever.
It's copyright infringement.
Like,
it's an intellectual property owned by them.
Yep. And I will say, if you want to play Warhammer and you want to use 3D printed minis, don't play Warhammer. Go play OPR.
Well, wait a minute.
One play page rules or any other.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I haven't played Magic the Gathering since I sold my cards in '95, but I know that proxies are legal for play.
Not in tournaments.
Not in tournaments, but most people aren't playing tournaments. They're legal. They're legal in Commander. They're legal.
They're not.
So listen.
No.
So
they're not legal in Commander. They're not. No proxies are legal in any format. If
I'm telling you now, you could go to a game store with proxies and they will let you play them. So to sit there and
some
say
game
that
stores, but
if you told me I can't play Warhammer unless I buy official Game Workshop minis, then Warhammer can piss off.
Oh, right.
Seriously.
No, I agree. I agree. And I won't play it
ridiculous.
because it's too expensive. But that's, play OPR, you know what I mean? Or something. But yeah, and I don't know about, so Paul, proxy everything. Sure. Absolutely. At your house. But don't go to obviously all I'm saying is you're not going to go to like an actual, tournament or whatever.
Listen, I'll bust your balls event. I'll bust your balls about your solid painted minis, but it's your game. Play whatever you want. it's
right.
We used to use dice or chits or whatever else to represent it. So who cares?
Yeah. Oh, right.
I'm just busting balls.
No, I know.
But it's just
I know that.
It's just like when you pick up any game book, you're the DM. Change whatever you don't like.
Sure, absolutely.
It's your game. Do what you want with it.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely.
I don't buy into that whole you have to use this brand.
No. And I'm just saying that's because those are generally the rules for, when you're playing in public with people. Like if you're going to go play Warhammer with people, you generally,
so
you're going to go play Warhammer. You're not going to show up with, 3D printed stuff or whatever. It's just like if I'm going to go play Magic, I'm not going to show up with, cards that I just print out and put in the sleeves,
Right. I get it.
It's just the expectation, right?
Yeah.
But
I think the only game. I'm not an expert. on Warhammer stuff, but I think the only game that I know of that's still in production by them where you can play around and use some non stuff is like Necromunda, because there's a thing with Necromunda where any miniature is a Necromunda miniature. So like it's kind of like Mordheim isn't obviously supported by Games Workshop, which is probably actually better off not being.
Yeah.
So like you can use whatever you want for like Mordheim.
Well, that's why I say like OPR or something, because OPR has all the factions and everything for Warhammer for the most part.
But the thing of it is I understand why people do it, because there's I don't know what the faction is, but there's a Warhammer miniature, and whatever it's a fantasy miniature, whatever their big lizard-like guys are, he's sitting in a floating chair, right? And that miniature costs like a ton of money. I have this almost an identical miniature, very, very much styled after it, that I got from Artesian Guild, that I paid, I think, maybe $30 for at best. And I'm like, because I was going to buy that Warhammer miniature because I had an idea for it in my RPG game, and then I came across that Artesian Guild miniature, and I was like, I will buy that instead because it's like only maybe $30
the price.
Yeah, right.
I can save me some money.
Yeah. So what, Mike, what got you into 3D printing? Is that kind of like the same thing where you wanted to print stuff for yourself, or was it strictly for a business?
I don't know. I think it was just a natural progression. I mean, I grew up a computer nerd. I mean, I've had computers since I was about 8 years old.
Sure.
I have there's 5 arcade machines sitting there. There's 2 over there. There's 3 of them in the other room. There's one's in the garage still being worked on. I've restored all those and work on them, all the electronics, all the wood parts. I mean, I've got cabinets that were totally rotted out that I've bondoed and fixed. And, it's just part of the whole thing. I've been into electronics my whole life. When 3D printing came out, I was like, that's cool. I can make shit. And of course I was into D&D. So I'm like, I'm going to make D&D stuff. The first stuff coming out sucked. I mean, before printable scenery came in the scene and before Fat Dragon Games started making 3D printed stuff, it was all cardboard. Everything was printed cardboard. It was expensive. I mean, color printing on, cardstock to fold it and make buildings was more expensive than 3D printing, I think. But I remember I had boxes of my original tiles. They all got chucked in the trash. I mean, I look back at them years later and I'm like, these are horrible. The print quality was junk. The paint quality was, they went in the garbage. But yeah, I've just kept going with it. And then when I retired, leading up to it for about 2 years, it was a whole planning stage of I'm retiring at this time. I didn't take vacations for, or just took partial vacations because I'd get like 6 or 7 weeks a year with corrections. And I would take instead of a 2-week vacation, I would take like 3 days, a long weekend or something. And then the next one I would take 3 or 4 days, and I just kept saving all my time because I'm like, I'm going to burn all that time. I'm going to get out early. I literally, my last day working was probably 7 months before my actual retirement date. So I had a lot of time to burn. And I had been planning it. I bought that laser. I spent a fortune on a commercial laser. I mean, we're not talking a little tabletop thing. We're talking a full-size $12,000 commercial laser that sits here idle doing next to nothing because, I can make stuff for the hobby, like these signs you see behind me and the Mimic chess. But I don't know, they were kind of a fad, and I think a lot of people got into it during COVID and flooded the market. So at some point, unless I find something to do with it, I will probably sell the laser and just
really
buy more printers.
Wow.
But,
well, you could buy a lot of printers for that. So
yeah, I could. It's getting to the point, I don't have anything running today.
Really?
I kind of took a break because I've got so much stuff to paint that I was like, I don't want to keep printing and backlogging it. So I'm trying to get caught up on painting.
Yeah.
So if an order comes in, I mean, I've got 3 orders here, all filled, waiting to go out.
Mhm.
But other than that, like I don't have any orders today, so I didn't print anything today.
Yeah.
But
What-
it's definitely picked up, and it's funny because I can tell you when the business finally started to take off,
Mhm.
and it was June of last year. Now I don't know if it's coincidence.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was
Hmm.
coincidence with Central New York or
Hmm.
what, but yeah, June of last year things really started to take off with the business. I had some really good months towards the end of the year,
Cool.
and January was gangbusters.
Well,
I
mean,
I'll be there.
Mike, I mean, I don't want to take credit for it, but I mean, I
Don't take
I
credit
will,
for it.
but I will.
What I don't think you're going to see at Central New York this year is, unless we had talked about maybe putting some stuff on a separate table, but I'm not gonna fill up my table with $1,000+ castle walls and stuff because I've brought them to 3 conventions. Those pieces, a lot of interest, a lot of draws people in, but nobody buys them, so it's hauling stuff back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have found that the smaller pieces, I mean, I know this is, some people are going to look at it and think it's crazy, but $250 to $400, there's a huge market for pieces in that range. And then the under $100, when you can buy a fully painted building for $75, people are like, yeah, I can buy that and bring it and put it on my table today.
Yeah.
And then I do little grab bags now of things that are like $6, $10, little painted pieces
Yeah.
that you can pick up and go.
Cool
So
stuff. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my focus on the shorter end of the range. Obviously, I have to sell more of it, but that's fine.
Yeah. I think
That's
some of
fine.
that
It's-
stuff is a little bit easier to sell, right? To obviously you have
Yeah.
to sell more of it, but it's like people are, if you have stuff like that, people are more inclined to buy something instead of, how many people would pass by the
Yes.
booth and buy nothing if all you had were, $100 castles or, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that castle that I had this year was $1,200.
Yeah. That was
The
that was
fort,
awesome. Big.
the fort I had, I priced it at $1,000, but that was as big as bigger than the castle, I think. So that probably should have been priced higher, but
Yeah. Yes.
I had
Cool
2
stuff.
of them. I sold one. I still have one.
Wow.
So
Yeah. That's awesome.
That castle stuff.
who knows? I might. Yeah, I might bring some stuff to show off, but it depends on space.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I don't want to take.
having a few would be good. Like, because I
mean-
remember like what with your table last year, that tower was awesome. Like I came so close to
Yeah.
buying that, and I was really thankful that Double D beat me to it and bought it. And then,
Yeah.
but then I got
Yeah.
the ruined one from you right after the con because that's the
Yeah.
one I really wanted was the ruined version, and you went home and
So I
printed it and.
I brought a painted version of the regular tower to Paige, and it was sold 5 minutes into opening on Thursday.
That's a great piece. That's a really great
Make
piece.
sure you bring a Baba Yaga's hut for Edgelord. You want it painted or
definitely have
you want it
Baba.
painted or unpainted,
Look,
Edgelord?
you
Go ahead, Mike.
this one here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be the one he's talking about.
I have a couple. There's another one that's a bigger house one that's a bit more expensive. There was a lot to that one. This is one of my big sellers there. I actually have, I think, 5 of these painted still.
Wow.
So,
Oh wow, that's cool.
So if that's the one you wanted and you want
Unpainted-
one now, I
unpainted
could
the
do the
house one.
unpainted. They're I'll bring some unpainted ones with me, or you can also get it off the Etsy store. They're right on there.
Yeah, tower.
But
Well,
I'll
he's
definitely
definitely
have
gonna
one or
be-
2 of them to come with me.
Edgelord's definitely coming out to CNY. He's only right down the
Yeah.
road, so he's got no excuses.
Yep, I'll definitely have it with me.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. See, we're drumming up business for you already.
Yeah,
So
I'm debating with pieces like this and the, Ducato, we talked about it, that
Yeah.
and the big
Trees
trees.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Awesome.
Those trees, I love the trees, but man, they are difficult to transport.
I bet.
Well, Mike,
So I don't know if
what if, because I know you're staying there, but if you have some of that stuff print, right? Like, I mean, you can always have like a display with, pictures or whatever, or like a book, with printout pictures in there, and then tell people, and then if it's worth it for you, go and grab the stuff on Friday night or something, or no, I mean, is that
you could just give me another table and I'll set up 3 printers and we'll have them running nonstop.
there you go. You just
Oh, you want
stuff.
something? It'll be ready for you by tomorrow morning.
Just run it. Well, hey, if you're staying in a hotel room, you're staying there on site,
know.
right? Just bring some printers and
Yeah,
have
I
them in
am.
the room going.
I'm not hauling my printers out there.
That's all. Everything
No,
just sell everything made to order.
I will have plenty of stuff to come with me. If I sell out of it, then you can always order it off my store or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I just finished filling orders, page orders. People have just been contacting me since page about things that they saw and wanted, so I never had that before. The first 2 years, it really wasn't like that. It'd be 1 or 2, but it's definitely picked up. People know who I am now. And so,
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool.
sometime in the next 2 weeks, I'll be doing DM Angelo's show.
Yeah.
Same
Cool.
thing, talking about 3D printing and Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So it's been a good year.
Yeah, that's good. Has it been?
I'm gonna try and
Go ahead.
what? I'm gonna try and drive some of my gamers to Central New York.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
They've
Are they convention
They've,
goers or in general, or
no,
not at all?
no.
None. They don't. They just game.
Except for Pete,
Pete,
and I don't
sure.
know what he's doing. I didn't ask.
Sure.
I know he's going to Concoction 2 weeks before or a week before or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to be around or what, but I'm not going to bug him about it. He can do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
There.
Sure. But the other.
And he did mention to me that he was thinking he was going to come, but he was just going to come to play some games.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. George's trying to get his group to go. You think the other guys will come out, or are they?
I don't know. My one guy that I told you is, entertaining at the table.
Yeah.
He lives out in Canastota, so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to tell him,
It's close.
hey, you need to go.
Yeah. Close. Just right
Yeah.
down the road. I mean, might as well. I mean, Stan's coming, and he's a good 6
6
hours.
He's
Yeah.
close. He's close.
You know,
Yeah, 6 hours.
Close. Just 6
Yeah.
hours
Jean.
down the road. So it's going to be a blast.
Yep.
No, it'll be a good time. And and if you guys, out there, anybody that's coming to CNY, let Mike know. I'm sure he'll work with you if you want to order something and then pick it up at the convention. Obviously, I know we're 4 months out at this point, so it's getting close. So I mean, get your orders now. If you want to do anything for pickup, it's better now than do it at the last minute, right? What's
Yes, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, if you get a hold of me 2 weeks before the convention, probably not going to, I could probably get unpainted, but that short notice, I probably won't have painted.
Same
Yeah.
thing. I did that last year. I had Leo bought a bunch of stuff off of me, and then some of it I sent to him, but then there was some of it that we didn't want to mail, so we met up at the con. So if anybody needs anything painted, again, like sooner than later, because I'm trying to still paint stuff up. Like I said, I got a box full of stuff today that I'm going to paint for the convention. But yeah, if somebody needs something painted, hit me up and I will try to get it done so we can just meet up at the con and I can deliver it.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
like such a
time
pleb
off.
hanging out with you guys sometimes.
put your time
I
off.
might
You
actually
didn't put
do
it
a
in yet?
bunch of. I might do some unpainted minis this time, and then
Yeah.
anybody that's interested, I'll direct them right over to the next booth for
Yeah.
Ducato if they want to get them painted.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We set it
I'm
up so that
still-
Ducato's got a booth right next to Mike. So anything of Mike's that's unpainted, we just go right
Slide
down
it
the
over.
line and
That's one of the things I'm kicking around. This will be my first convention as a vendor. I've never done that before. So, but one of the things I am considering is having like a commission list. So like I'll have like a certain amount of commission spots. And if you want something painted, we can work, figure it out. And then with a delivery date and all that stuff. And but have a certain amount of spots, I don't know what that number will be. In my head I say 10, but that would depend on how soon you need it too. So yeah, stuff I'm considering doing, as a first time vendor.
yeah. Yeah. Cool. No, we're happy to have you guys, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I did. Like I mentioned to you earlier, I'd love to work out some ideas to get some things painted, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you're looking for some stuff printed, and I'm looking for some minis painted, but I'm not on a time limit. I have no time limit at all. It's like, if you've got paid commissions, they can all go first. You know what I mean? I'm in no hurry.
Yeah, I got one. Like I said, I'm hope I can finish that up in the next week or so, and then let's just trying to, because I have no idea. Like I said, first time doing it, I have no idea. Like, what am I going to need for miniature? Like, how many am I going to need? I keep looking at what I've been painting so far, and it's like, I think I need more than that. And like I said, I just got this box, and I can show off some of that stuff. It's not painted, but I've been assembling it. If anybody wants to see it, but I'm like, I don't know. So it's just going to be painting as much as I can to bring with me, and hopefully I don't bring a lot of it back.
So Roger,
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you about this. I think I might have mentioned it. I'm not going to show anything off. I wasn't going to say anything right away, but I can't keep my mouth shut. So I have a bin over there, like a big tote bin, completely filled, and all that's in it is the basement of a building. And I'm working on a print now. It's going to be, it's about, what I measured it, it's like 48 or 45 inches wide and like 30 something inches deep. And it's a 5-story house. And
Wow.
I'm going to be painting it up. The whole interior is fully customized. I've got all the furniture and everything for it. I want to write an adventure for it and use it for a convention piece. But if I get it done, and even if I'm not doing that, I may bring it just to show it off, just to be like,
Yeah.
It would be
hey,
awesome.
here's my booth with all this stuff, but here's what's also possible. Although that's a big piece, I don't know if I want to get into doing that as a more than a one-off for a convention game, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it would make
cool.
an awesome. You put that in the middle of a convention floor, and everybody's gonna have to stop by and see that thing.
Yeah.
So
That'll definitely draw some attention, Mike. That thing is going to be awesome. It's already awesome. What you showed me is great.
I'm gonna need help just carrying the thing.
Yeah, that's cool. What when you're printing the terrain and stuff, do you so obviously there's for the tiles, Fat Dragon has the dragon clips. Do you use those for everything?
I do. I do. I know you can do magnets and stuff. It's
So
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you hold them together, so if I build a room, I sometimes I'll build rooms.
Yeah.
And then
you can
just
put it
have
aside.
them all set aside.
Right. With
So I
magnets, you
set 'em
can't
up.
do it.
You can't do that if they're with magnets.
Right.
And
Agree. Yeah.
and there's the addition, the pain of putting the magnets in and getting the polarities right. Clips.
Yeah.
Clips are expendable. I'll put together a whole big piece, and when I take it apart, I might lose 20 clips as they break. So what?
Really?
That's another 30 minutes of print time. Yeah,
I've yet to break a clip. I mean, I'm not using as much
Are
as
they,
you are, but
How's your tolerance though? Mine, my tolerance is really tight, so I want everything fits real snug.
yeah, mine
The
is
old stuff I used
mine
to
is
print was pretty loose. If it's
it's
looser,
not
you won't have
super
a problem.
loose.
But if it's
It's not but it's not
yeah,
like super tight.
so a lot of my clips, you have to use a pair of pliers to pull them out.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine aren't that
So yeah,
tight. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah,
I like
had
it that
tried
way
like
though because it
magnets and
stays
stuff in the
together.
beginning. Right, right. Yeah, and you could pick the thing up and move it around, and it's easier to make,
Right.
layers and whatnot at different levels. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I had tried doing magnets and stuff, and it's cool. I don't know. I like the idea of, and maybe I should try it with Shadow Dark, but I like the idea of having a bunch of 2x2 tiles that were magnetic with no walls, and then just using them as like the dungeon as the players go.
Yeah, you
Have
could
like 20 or 30 of
that.
them, and then this way you're just like pulling from behind them. You know what I mean? And just filling in what's in front of them. Different rooms and stuff. Which I don't know, which is kind of cool. Because
Yeah.
it's something you
So I
can't
had
do.
a thought today. When I had the maps laid out on the table today, I went and grabbed my bin of the short wall tiles. I don't have very many of them. I've
Yeah,
got tons of the
that's like
full-size
all I
tiles.
print. Yeah,
Is the short wall?
the short wall.
Well, that's
I
what
like
I've
the short
started
wall better,
printing
yeah.
now. So I was laying them out, and I started laying them on top of the map for all the rooms,
Yeah.
and I was gonna like get an idea of how many I needed to print to do the whole thing,
Oh man.
and then print them all before Sunday and get them
Yeah.
painted. And I started laying them out, and I looked at it, and I'm like, I'm not doing all this week.
Yeah.
It's
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
it
Batch
loses
painting-
its fun
Batch
when
painting
you're
all of them goes
scrambling.
quick though, probably.
It does. It does. It does. But when I do those tiles, I pick out. So when I did the full size tiles, I had a system where I would do. It was a real dark gray on the walls, a real light, or a medium gray on the floor, and then I dry brushed the whole thing with like a very, very light gray, and it gave a separation between the walls and the floor because, and it looked good. They were great for play. With these new ones now, they've got all kinds of little floor pieces, so I actually pick out tiles with different colors, and it's more time consuming, but they look
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I saw somebody do a color scheme a while back where they did from Diablo 1 where the floors were gray and the walls were like a red brick. And that contrast, it actually looked pretty cool.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I considered like doing that. Like, but me, like, me, like gray, I've got gray filament. And so I'll print, stone tiles and I just use them as is. I don't even, no primer, no paint, I just use them as is and it's, it works. I mean, I know that you wouldn't do something like that, but
I have done that before. I have done that before where I didn't have time to paint something and just went ahead
Yeah.
and used it. But no, generally after I do that once, I'm like, I gotta get this stuff painted.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, and your stuff looks absolutely amazing at the table. Stan, your stuff too. I mean, painted up and laid out, it just looks fantastic. And I don't know. I've just always been. I've always tried to run like a looser game, and not be super critical of stuff and just have things laid out. It's great to have the painted stuff, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't have the room for it, and just painting what I got, I think would just take me too long at this point.
I have a question for the group. Aside from the economics, because I know, Mike, that you make money doing this. Earlier on, I think it was Paul that said Critical Role has made it so, everybody, especially new players, they go to a con or whatever and they sit down and they expect it to be Critical Role. They expect a full layout. Basically, they want to sit at Ducato's table and see the entire world in 3D. Do you think that has that been detrimental to the game or beneficial?
Some, yeah. So my personal experience with that was I've seen that. Like my son, you know, he got brought up in gaming, and the terrain and miniatures just got more involved as the game went, because I got better at it. And when he started running games of his own, it was a barrier to entry, because like he was trying to run some 5th edition module, and I don't remember which one it was. It's something to do with a giant. I don't remember what the hell it was, but I remember talking to him one day about it, and he just looked at me and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to build that whole thing. And I'm like, you're not going to. Like, so you like in your head you want to, right? But you can't. So you're going to take areas of that you're going to need, and then if you want, you can build those, but you're not going to build the entire complex. I don't build entire. I mean, yeah, there are occasions where I will build an entire dungeon out. I've done it. You know, I got a 13-foot long table and I'll fill it. That doesn't happen every session. I don't want to do it every session. It's a lot of work.
It's time consuming.
It's very time consuming.
You'll spend days leading up to the game working on that shit.
Absolutely true. So
yeah.
Most of my builds are on 2 foot by 2 foot insulation board, and I'll build on top of that. And I do even smaller than that. Sometimes I don't freaking bother with it. You know, I'm like, this isn't a big deal. Like, this isn't a big encounter. We'll just theater of the mind, blast through it. But yeah, to answer your question, in part it has been detrimental. I mean, it's also, I think, done some great things and opened up the hobby as far as like people are more interested in miniatures and terrain and stuff like that. But I remember I was helping teaching a game master seminar at my local shop here, Crossroads, and we were teaching it. And obviously, I'm the miniatures and terrain guy, right? So that's what I was known for. So, but that was one of the first things I told them is like, I in my brain, when I do stuff, I want to build the world. Like, I want to build my world as I see it. It's not entirely possible, right? So, and then the thing, especially if you're a new game master, like, you don't have to do that. Like, that's what I was telling you. You don't have to do that. It can be very simple. And players, if you're into that sort of thing, like, it doesn't take a lot. Like, you can have like half a dozen pieces of scatter terrain, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's just stuff that you scatter on the table. And
I like scatter terrain more than anything.
That does so much just by itself. If you have players that are into it. Now, there's groups that don't give two shits about miniatures and terrain. They play theater of the mind. That's how they want to play, and that's great. I love theater of the mind too. And but you don't need a lot. Like I was trying to say, and you could have like a little bit of scatter terrain, throw that out there, and your player's like, oh, okay, this is where my guy is. You know.
I mean, if you pay attention to these pictures that are scrolling, a good portion of my stuff, like that, I did a full table setup. And that was a mix of different things, but a lot of them are just little, like, that's just a little room. It's, of course, it's going to call me a liar right now, but most of the pictures in here are actually scatter terrain. It's just seems to be cycling through. It's not randomizing, cycling through a bunch of stuff that was all at the same time. But most of the stuff I use is scatter terrain.
Yeah, like that's just scatter there. It looks there's minis.
Yeah, I don't really have like a hard feeling either way about it. Death Angel just mentioned Lord Gasumba. We've played with him, and I had a great time, except the fact that my dice sucked that night. I had thrown them away. But I can't honestly say that walking up to a table and seeing the full spread makes me look forward to playing any more than walking up and seeing a battle mat with a dry erase marker next to it. Roger's a big proponent of theater of the mind. He's talked about that a lot. And, so we use miniatures, but, the terrain is few and far between when it comes out. I'm like, okay, cool. With the fire giants, that was really cool. Roger laid out, I think they were 4x4, maybe 3x3, but these tiles, because we were going into a fire giant lair. And so, and there was lava everywhere. So the tiles kind of helped illustrate where the lava wasn't. And that was cool. But, a red Sharpie or, a red dry erase would have been like, lava here, don't walk here. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm thinking about it, you know, while you guys are talking, I'm thinking about it. And I'm thinking, it's because I'm older and I grew up with theater of the mind. Whereas younger players, like Dakota was talking about his son coming from video games, and I am also a gamer. I wonder if the younger generation, it's not so much that they expect a 3D representation, it's that they need a 3D representation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know kids, so I honestly don't know. So I'm wondering what you guys think about it. That's why
So
I'm
that-
You can
Yeah, so I was kind of gonna get into that a little bit, but so the Critical Role thing, like, yeah, I think it's more of a barrier. Obviously, Critical Role has done a lot for the industry. It's gotten a lot of people in, but I think that people look at that and think that there's a high barrier to entry because you need. Yeah, because they're a high production thing. They have an unlimited amount of money. They have voice actors. They have tons of time to script and do the whole thing. So, but I think it's more pressure on a GM than it is for the players. Because I think most players are just okay with, like, hey, whatever we're gonna do, right? Like they don't expect the GM to, like, go all out. But a lot of the GMs feel like, oh my God, I need to be, I need to have this high production value thing, in order to make my game work. And I think, like what you were saying with the video games and stuff, where you have that visual, I think that, some people need that at the table. They need to have a visual representation of what's going on. I don't think that it needs to be as high quality as like a Critical Role setup or anything like that. But I mean, and like you said, like, yeah, it doesn't matter, right? Like if you walk up to a table, it's got a ton of minis, or if it's just, just a piece of paper with a Sharpie,
I think Death Angel is along the same lines of my thinking. I was waiting to cut in here.
Yeah.
It's not.
I agree.
So I think Critical Role has, again, like everybody said, has done great things bringing new people into the hobby. But if I was going to say there's one thing that's been a detriment, it's that new players coming in think that their games. I don't necessarily think that it's worried about having the terrain on the table. I think it's they feel they have to be actors. They have to get in there.
Right.
They have to act out their characters. Everything is like
I hate that.
That isn't.
It's a LARP.
show.
They're sitting down LARPing.
Right. Is it entertaining? I mean, I don't watch it, but I've seen clips of it. It's entertaining. I can understand why some people watch it. It's just not for me. But
right.
A lot of people think that's how the game should be. So they sit down at your table and you're the DM and you're not doing silly voices and everything else. And they're like, well, this sucks. That's the part where I think it really has the detriment.
Yeah.
And listen, I don't blame them. They're making bank off that show, which tells me that there's definitely an audience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They have their fans. I won't take that away from them. It's not my style of game.
Right.
That
audience is definitely not me.
When I DM, there's definitely times where I'll get into character. I'll even do some voices once in a while, but not like that. It's, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not actors. We're just there to play the game.
Right. And they have a high production value. I mean, that's the thing, right? There's actors, and because they're all actors and they're all, they all have stock, right? Like, and what they do, obviously, like, they know if they slow down the game or whatever, or do something that causes people not to watch it, that they're going to lose money because of it. Like, I think that they're, it's a different kind of game. So they're all like invested into it. And so, it's a different kind of thing. Where you don't have like that player kind of conflict or whatever, or as much of it, unless it's actually meaningful,
Did you see my post in the Shadow Dark Facebook page about my game? I posted some pictures and talked about my starting out this weekend.
Yeah, I didn't read the whole thing, but I did see your post there. Yeah.
So Mike Burrows comes on there and replies on it and goes, yeah, you didn't leave your address because I'm bringing the cheese puffs. We're on our way.
Nice.
I was like, well, make your way to New York. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and Lord Gusumba, that was mentioned in the chat. Like he's got, I don't want to put him in the same boat as Critical Role, right? But like, he, he's a nice guy. I've been in his games. I've talked to him, at a couple conventions and stuff now. But he has a production value. I mean, it's part of what he's doing is a show. He does a live show, right, weekly. That's his game, and that's part of it. And like I said, I don't think he's as far into it as Critical Role is. But there's a difference. There's a difference, there between that and the people that are just getting together to play, right? So, that's.
I think a lot of
That's-
it boils down to your players too. What are they looking for? Some of them, like I know when I first started really using miniatures and terrain with my whole group, because a lot of my early sessions with my son, it was just him and I. And
Mhm.
I remember asking him, like, "Hey, do you guys like this? Like, do you like this, type of thing?" And they were on board. They were like, "Yeah, it's great because now I know exactly where my character is. Like, if you tell me that I'm at the bottom of that wall, I know exactly where I am." So we did that, and I know we play that way mostly anyway. But we did that for a while, and I can't remember. There was a game we played in. I think one of the guys ran a one-off, and we used Theater of the Mind. And I was like, "Oh my God, we really suck at Theater of the Mind." Like we were like, and especially with 5th edition because it's so tactical anyway. But it was
Right.
like, wow, like this
Yeah.
is you're so used to that style of play. But now I can kind of go in and out of it, which is fine. Which I do. I do a mix. Like in my games, like there'll be 3D terrain, and other times we're just kind of narrating what's going on.
Yeah. I was at the point where when I was running 3.5, back a long time ago, that I got sick of it. Like the terrain and using like minis and all of that stuff because
Yeah.
I had people that were and 3.5 was one of those games that was designed to be used with miniatures, and so
Very much
but
so.
I mean,
Yeah.
just people were breaking out rulers and protractors and like, and just everything was like an engineering job of like, oh, how can I, with the most advantage, move over here without incurring attacks of opportunity and getting to the, where I need to be and like all these things. And it was just like, okay, you know what? I'm done with this. And I ran Theater of the Mind for a while until more recently. And I don't remember if it was you, Jason, or whatever, or before that, but I had people at the table were like, "Hey, could we like draw this up and just so everybody knows where each other
Mhm.
is or whatever."
That was me. I remember that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and that sort of prompted me to like try, get back into it, and then and then with the 3D printer and all that, it got easier to get the stuff, and so I started getting more into it, and then now circling back to Shadow Dark again, right? But like, I think that's like where I want to be with it, where it's like near or close, far, near. There's no like. Oh, it's like this many number of squares and like this is the thing, and it makes it just it's kind of where I want to be with it because that was my thing against it is I don't want the measurements and stuff being made.
I understand. Excuse me, and I agree that Shadow Dark's measurements are more vague, I guess.
Abstracted, yeah, sure.
Near is still within 5 feet.
Right, right.
Close is within 30 feet. And far is anything after 30 feet, but the way I picture it is it's not so much that far is anything after 30 feet. To me, far is anything outside the torchlight because, the torch is a 30-foot radius in Shadow Dark. So that's
Sure.
how I would look at it. If it's standing on top of me, obviously it's close. If it's inside the light, but it's not standing on top of me, that's near.
Yeah.
And
See,
so that's how I kind of look at it.
I actually find Shadow Dark
God, I
easier
can't
to
believe we're
use
rolling back to
grids.
Shadow Dark again. Sorry,
Well,
go
I'm
ahead.
just saying, it's more about the grids. I can find it easier to use grids because the numbers are so small. You're just talking 6 squares. Your standard movement is all going to happen within 6 squares of each other. So
Mhm.
it's not really like playing AD&D. if you can move 120 feet and you're using 5-foot squares, that's 24 freaking squares they can move.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of movement.
Well, squares were
You know,
10 foot then, so it was
No,
still 6
No,
squares.
in first edition they were, but in second edition, all the
No, yeah.
everything turned into 5-foot squares.
Mhm.
So
Right.
what I'm saying is, so when you got 24 squares to move, it's way too much. It's ridiculous. People are like racing all over the battlefield, being able to move all over the place.
Mhm.
When you can move 6 squares, it's not such a big deal. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and I do like
Yeah,
the
then-
fact that I had to look it up in the rules today just to make sure, because we weren't sure how it worked. But you can divide up that movement too. So you could move 3 squares, take your action, and move 3 more.
Oh, you
True.
can.
Yes, it
Yeah.
says right in the rules you can take them in any order,
Okay.
and you can
'cause-
split
so,
up your movement.
So I made the ruling Sunday that you couldn't do that with casting a spell. Because we couldn't find it. But I mean but that was that was that. I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't mind, it was just while we were playing, it was, I just needed to make a ruling,
Yeah.
and that's what I said. But if it says it in there, then
And that's
I'm
what
fine
I
with
do.
doing
If I don't, if I don't know it and I can't find it within a minute, I'm making
Yeah,
a
right.
ruling.
Right. And that's what we did. So that's interesting. So that I'll have to make a note of that, and we'll because Ken had asked that about Wizard. He wanted to move like half his movement, then cast a spell. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't know, because I was like, well, casting a spell like takes like your full concentration. So like you really can't start moving like after you cast it. It takes like the whole round to do it or whatever, So that was kind of my interpretation of it. But yeah. Yeah, no, if you could find that, let me know what page or whatever that's on, and we'll go from
I was
there.
looking right now.
Um,
85 has movement for crawling, but it doesn't say it there. I'm trying to think of where it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was-
I've seen
that was
it
the only-
too, though.
That was the only problem I had at the table playing it the first time, was trying to look up rules. There are some rules that are like all over the place. Like I would think all the movement
Yes.
should be in one spot, but it's not.
yeah. Yeah.
That's
There's-
why I
there's
wanted to make
definitely some
myself
things there.
my own screen.
Yeah. Yeah, the screen, I definitely like you said, the screen was like really hard to there's no useful information
So-
on it.
So
But-
page 83 under player under turn order, player turn number 2, it says the player takes an action and may move up to near, split up in any way. The player can move near again if skipping an action. So
Okay.
So they can move up to near, which is 30 feet,
Mhm.
split up in any way. So,
Okay.
any of the characters can take an action, whether it's an attack, casting a spell, whatever. They can move 1 square, take their action, and move 5 more, or, however you want to do it.
Yeah.
And it keeps it
Okay.
simple. No, same rules for everybody. There's no
Yeah,
casting
yeah, absolutely.
time or none of that. So it's everybody just goes on their turn.
Sure. No, that definitely works. Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to remember that. Tell the guys that on Sunday. Just like I said, I made a ruling about it, and I assumed that it was that way. With that, there wasn't an allowance for splitting it, because everything else in Shadow Dark seems to be like the more simplified version of something.
Yeah.
And so and generally every rule that's like a hard and fast rule in Shadow Dark is designed to make the game move quicker. From making, the torch timer exists because that makes players move quicker, right? They don't stop. Like I've noticed that like now, like they move through the dungeon like at full speed, because there's no, like, as soon as somebody starts talking about something else, 3 other people are like, they're pointing to the sand timer. They're like,
Yeah.
our torch is going. We gotta, that's a valuable
So-
inventory slot. Like we're gonna keep going.
So I've got a 50-inch TV up on the wall. And what I
Yeah.
did was I pulled up this laptop and I went to that torchtimer.com and I
Yes.
put up
Yeah.
the torch timer and then I Chromecast it to the TV. So
Yeah.
we had the torch timer up there and I turned the volume up so they could hear the torch. And I got to tell you, man, they were, I would look over at them and you could see them eyeballing that torch timer. I left the time on it this time. I said, in the future, I'm going to put it in hardcore mode where you can't see the actual timer.
Yeah.
You just have to watch
That's
the
how I
torch
use it.
flicker.
That'd be
Wh-
cool.
wh-
I got to consider
Yeah.
doing it that way.
So,
And then you could do it. You could tell it like plus or minus, right?
yep.
Yeah, you can change the time on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah,
want to
that's
make
neat.
I'd like to make a chart, that you can randomly roll where you have like a, maybe say 80% of the time it's going to be 1 hour. And then that other 20% would be like plus or minus. And, just don't let them know. You roll
Yeah.
it, you figure out what it's going to
Right.
be. And I think I would do
They got to
and-
figure it out
plus or
based,
minus.
based on watching it. Yeah.
Right. Plus or minus 10 minutes or something like that. So it might be 50 minutes, it might be 70 minutes.
Yeah.
We did have one round where they were in the dungeon and the torch timer they were like in combat and they're watching it, and Pete had the torch and he's watching it and it's down to like 1 minute left and they were like panicking, we got to get this torch done. And somebody before him skipped their round, like so it could skip to his round, so he could light a new torch off of it. And they literally
Wow.
lit the torch with like 10 seconds left on it, because they were
Wow.
paranoid that as soon as that torch went out, I was going to be sending monsters after him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a little bit of paranoia is
crazy.
healthy.
I've been using the sand timer and it's worked pretty good.
Yeah,
So-
Death Angel. I was thinking about actually 3D printing a
Yeah.
torch, and then hooking it up to like an Arduino board or something to
Yeah,
set
an
a
Arduino or
timer
like
on
an
it.
ESP or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would reduce
That'd
the
be cool.
voltage to it over time. But I don't know. This will work as it is. I don't have to build anything.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm kind of okay with the sand timer. It's worked well, because you still don't know like exactly how much time is left,
Right.
but you have a general idea, and it's kind of right on the, right in front of everybody there. So it's been pretty good, using that. So I think I'll just keep using that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty neat rule. But yeah, I'm thinking about going back and trying the magnetic tiles again for this, going through, and then I don't know, we'll see, or doing like a just like a generic circle terrain piece, and just use that for all the combat, like that, like whoever has the torch, like put them in the middle, of this just round piece of terrain, and then
Yeah.
and then that's the light, like that's what you can see, and then use like pieces, like if I have wall pieces or something, you could just put that up where they can see it. I don't know though, that might get fiddly if the person with the torch moves, and then you gotta reconfigure stuff. But yeah, something like that. Death Angel, his dungeon terrain thing there, but zone terrain there, or maybe just use something like that, just a round zoned thing, if everybody in the center is melee, and then you have like the far, and then everybody at the edge is like out of range. But I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I don't want to abstract things too much, but I don't know, sometimes I feel it'd be just easier to do it that way, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, ultimate dungeon terrain. That's what he calls it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Something similar to that. I don't know. But
What
We'll
is
see.
ultimate dungeon terrain?
basically it's a round piece of terrain. It's like a stone or wood, whatever you want to make it, right? But It's maybe 12 to 18 inches in diameter. And then the center circle is maybe like 3 or 4 inches, maybe 3 inches in diameter. All right. And then the next circle is almost the rest of it. And then there's a 2-inch border around the edge. So everything, and then basically everything that's in the center of that circle is in melee combat to each other. And then everything that's in that main area that's right around that is like one step away. So they can make a movement to move in or to move out. And then that outer ring is basically, far. So basically everything in, that center square would be close. Everything in that outer ring is near, and then everything at the edge is far.
Kind of sounds
that's
more
like-
complicated.
No, I mean, it's not. I don't know. Maybe I'm,
It's pretty.
maybe I'm just
It's
saying.
very like abstract.
It's very abstract. Yeah.
And he'll put scatter terrain on it and stuff like that. But then, I mean, I have one, and it wasn't made that for that purpose. I just had a round piece of foam, and mine's actually like a wilderness. You could put trees and stuff on it, and it's not flat. It's the closest thing I have to using it. But I would use a ruler, like if we were really, or I wouldn't give a shit because it's not so big that. Like people like, oh, I want to run 30 feet over here. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, whatever. But my guys are pretty quick with all that stuff. Like we've done it so long. Like we have like there's a bunch of rulers, and they're just like bam, and it doesn't really take any time for them to do it. So I haven't really fussed about it at all. So,
So I know this will sound weird with me being the terrain guy and doing this as a business, but we've been talking about it for a couple of years, and I think this spring we're going to build a new table for the game room, and I'm going to get like a 65-inch TV to inset into the table.
Really?
And I want it flush with the table so I can put my battle mat over it if I'm not using it. But there's sometimes like with this dungeon that we're using, it's not conducive to set up terrain. It's so big.
Right.
And to put out a map like I am, they could see the whole thing. But if I did it in like load that map into Roll20, throw it up on the screen, and use one token for whoever the torchbearer is,
You could just
and
move
literally
it around.
set it up with fog of war. They move somewhere, I move the token there, it shows them what they can see.
Yep.
And they can move around the dungeon that way.
Yeah.
I mean, a 65-inch TV these days, you can buy some off-brand 65-inch for like $400.
I was going to say
or
even
less.
300 something. On Black Friday or something.
Right. So to build a table like that, and I wouldn't use it all the time, but man, there's like, I forgot the name of the company. I backed them on Patreon for a while, and I got a whole bunch of their files, and they're still doing it, and they make amazing stuff. Like,
I was just talking to them.
And it's all,
I think, for the TV stuff. They
it's all animated.
They've got to think there's the company that makes it. They you could buy really cheap, like the infrared like sensors. It's like a sensor bar that goes around the edge of the TV, and then you can actually like pick up a token, and so long as you just hover a little bit, you can move it, and it'll actually move the torch digitally.
I'm not sure how well that would work if you recess it and you put glass over it.
Yeah, I think
because I really don't want it. If you don't put glass over it, you're going to ruin that TV.
Yeah, right.
Because I would put scatter terrain on it. I would put minis on it.
Yeah,
and then I would just use it for.
Arc and Forge is the name of the thing I was thinking of. Yeah,
I have that. It's great. If you can get proficient with it, Arc and Forge is wonderful. It's got a pretty steep learning curve, though. I have not had a lot of success with it.
We were talking about using it for the for like a recessed TV inside the game table. But
I'll have to look at Arc and Forge.
Yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, not only is Arc and Forge really cool, the people that own it, the designers, the programmers, man, they are so responsive. Super, super cool guys. I say that about anything. Anytime I meet somebody that's really approachable or will talk to me about their product, I will usually give them a thumbs up. But I have Arc of Thorns, and I have no complaints other than the fact that I suck at it.
So, yeah, no, it's cool stuff. But
That's one benefit to that electronic stuff. I played in 2 different 5e games that started off as physical games, in person, and then we COVID and then they just kept them. We finished them out basically online, except for the final session. And they went to Roll20, which I hate, but they went to Roll20 primarily because of the maps. Like, it was just so much easier to do because they had, when it worked, because they had the whole map and they didn't have to worry about like a 3D representation of it or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Mike, I'm interested to see how that turns out. So, let me know like how thick, I don't know what you're thinking, like how thick of a piece of plexi or how thick of a piece of glass. I think that can affect.
I'd really like to go with tempered. I'd like to go with tempered glass.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to go.
And that's That's going to be expensive for a sheet that big.
But because the thicker you go, the further away from the screen you are, and now at an angle.
Right.
So even if you're a quarter of an inch, if people are sitting down at the table, they're looking at their mini, and their mini is not going to be. It might not look like it's on the square.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which isn't a huge deal for me, whatever, because I don't care that much about squares. But I don't know. I don't know if that would be a big deal or not. But
I know some people use projectors, but if I'm going to go to all that work, that just doesn't look good enough.
I'm not a big fan of using projectors for that. I don't think that's
you got to have a dark room. You're going to have shadows.
Well, or a really good projector.
Yeah.
With like 1,000-watt bulb or something in it.
Yeah, the ones that they promote for the hobby are garbage.
Oh yeah.
There's a big scam thing about those.
Oh.
Like there was one that comes up all the time, and then people were coming out and said, "This thing's a piece of trash," and it's way overpriced.
They're selling it for like what, like $100 or $200, but they're
200, I think.
They're on like Temu for like $20.
Yeah,
Like
they're total garbage. They don't work.
Garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine, zagging in the comments earlier. He does like lighting setups and stuff, and he ran online games for us, and he used physical terrain like Dwarven Forge and stuff. But like he had, it was really cool. Like he had it set up so like we could have weird ambient lighting. But like one of the things he did one time was he had it set up so it would only illuminate like what our light source was. So like he was like, you'd get lost in the matrix there because like you'd be like, oh crap, I'm out of the torchlight, and that was kind of neat. Like he's good at that stuff. Like I can barely run a flashlight, so like that would not work for me. But it looked really cool. It was fun to play on. It'd be probably even more fun in person.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we're just over the 3-hour mark. What else we want to talk about terrain? Is there anything else that we didn't bring up that we got to talk about? Any questions? Anybody got any other comments on that?
I mean, it's all a matter of what you're looking to do. Like if you're just looking for a little bit, I mean, honestly, you don't need anything beyond a battle mat, and even battle mats, like you can go off the deep end on those because there's, the ones I'm referring to are just the dry erase. It's a grid or whatever. You just draw it out real quick. But there's other ones that are, full blown images on them and stuff. And I have a bunch of those because I'd love to have like a full 3-dimensional terrain board for like a outdoor setting. I just have scatter pieces that I built, and I just put down a base of a battle mat, and there's different materials that you can get, the things to look at.
Troy, I'm following Printable Scenery. I backed one of their what's it called, Mike? Throne of Ash? Is that the
yeah, it's the castle. Throne and Ash. Yeah. And I back that whole thing, and that's fun because every, I don't know, few weeks or so,
I get an email that something else is added, to it, that they finished something else in
They're
there.
all, they're almost done with it,
Yeah.
which means they'll be doing a new Kickstarter soon.
Yeah, which is cool. So I've definitely been watching their stuff. I think for me, like the printable scenery stuff is probably like top end for buildings and whatnot. And then
That's
as
the
far
best castle system I've seen.
and as far as tiles
Yeah.
go, I really like Fat Dragon Games, and the miniatures that I get, which which I print in these wonderful solid color pieces, are bright minis, which is a guy on Patreon that does it, and they're all designed for FDM support free prints. So that's fantastic for me because I don't want to worry about cleaning up support.
I really hope that Printable Scenery's next set is like a desert set or an Arctic set, or because they've done castles multiple times. We don't need castles. We don't really need more dungeon tiles. They did dungeon tiles early on, but they've never done anything since. I think they probably decided that Fat Dragon Games does enough of that they rather focus on buildings. I would love to see some different theme sets. I mean, listen, their halfling set was amazing.
It was
It
awesome.
really was. I mean, that's all like that halfling house that
Yeah.
I made. This one here is for Leo. I sent
Yeah.
one to Tina from she was with Trollord Games, running
Mhm.
games and the Trollord Games stuff at Page.
Yeah.
So that's the third one. I sold one at Page, then she wanted one, and then Leo wanted one. It's just a great set. All the pieces in it are phenomenal. The trees, I'm afraid to make some of the other ones and print them and show them because the other ones have like trees grow. They're cooler
pretty,
than that, but
they're awesome. Yeah,
they're going to be hard.
Yeah.
They're going to be hard for me to ship. So that's why I'm
Right.
a little hesitant about
I'm
making more of those.
I'm kind of curious because I know the guy that does. I don't know him personally, but the guy that designed that halfling village and a bunch of their other stuff. I watched a video from him the other day, and it sounded like I'd have to listen to it again, but it sounded like he wasn't designing stuff for other people anymore because he said something about going back to doing his own stuff after designing for other people. So I'll be interested to see what they come up with. But
Well,
that halfling, I want that whole village, Mike. Like that
Yeah,
halfling stuff is awesome.
So I might bring some of the other buildings with me. I don't know. I'll see. I'm obviously gonna make them for myself. I still don't have one of those for myself. This is the third one I've made, and they've all been sold. The nice part about it is those three have covered my license for the whole year. Not that I didn't pay for. Not that I didn't pay for the license. I got it last June, and I think I paid for it shortly after Central New York between what I sold there and orders I got afterwards. So I think it was paid for the whole year then. But yeah, I mean it's been a great license. I will definitely be keeping it.
Yeah. And their
but
products are fantastic.
They've had some good sets since the Halfling one too, though. I mean, obviously Throne and Ash is great.
Yeah.
The other set, I can't think of what it's called. The one with all the ruins, and I made a bunch of that stuff for Troy.
Oh, the Ramshackle?
Ramshackle something.
Yeah, the Ramshackle.
Yeah,
my
that's
buddy
cool
and I were
stuff,
looking
too.
at that the other day. He
Yeah.
wants a bunch
Yeah, the gloaming
awesome.
swamps stuff is great. That's where the turtle came from.
Yeah.
I have that one. I have that.
Yeah.
I mean, even the country and king, like that piece that I painted up today that everybody's telling me they love, that came from the king and country set.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I have some
cool.
ruined
you-
castle stuff from that. It's
Yeah,
nice.
you really can't go wrong with any of their stuff.
No.
Some of the old stuff, like the Winterdale stuff, is pretty dated.
Yeah.
When you print it out now, it doesn't really. But yeah, so they haven't painted anything else.
Mike, your mic
Sound
is kind of, I don't know, you sound garbled and low.
You know why?
Oh, there you go.
I was tabbed out and scrolling through printable scenery stuff, and must be it
Yeah.
didn't like that.
It did not like that at all. It sounded like you were in a
I got to
tunnel,
get a better PC back here.
but
I'm using my daughter's old laptop. I need to get a better PC back here.
so any other last words on 3D terrain or terrain minis? Anybody got anything? So Death Angel's on me about this all the time, but hey, everybody, please like, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. And if you're not, looking at Mike's over here, if you're not looking at his stuff, check his stuff out on Etsy. He's got a bunch of stuff, and then I don't know what else is it just Etsy right now, Mike? Is that your only your shop?
It is just
Main
Etsy. It is Etsy. I'm hoping to add Shopify again. I did it last year without Etsy, and I had no sales because it's not a marketplace. You got to direct people
Right,
there.
you got to get people.
But I'm posting so much on social media. I'm going to start directing people there.
Yeah.
My business card, the QR code on the back goes to my domain, which is set to Etsy. I'll just reposition that
Yeah.
going to Shopify. So pretty much my Etsy sales will hopefully convert over to Shopify at some point.
Yeah, cool.
Etsy, Etsy, I offer free shipping on there. I've got discount codes on there. I've got some regular customers that utilize all that all the time. And I love being able to offer that stuff, but man, does it take a real chunk out of my profit sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'd rather get over to Shopify and start being able to do custom sales. Like, hey, we make up a code for Central New York that I can go around and hand out to people, and for the next 2 weeks after the convention, everything's 20% off on the store.
Yeah, cool.
You can't do that with Etsy. Etsy is like all or nothing. You can,
Yeah, right.
So
Right. Yeah, cool.
But I'll maintain both of them. It'll just be a little cheaper on Shopify because there's less fees. So that'll be the incentive to go there.
Yeah, right. Right. No, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. Can't wait.
So-
But yeah, let us know on that, and we'll push it. Here, whatever we can do, that, and at the con and everything else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us and chatting with us about Shadow Dark, a little bit of Fallout, and 3D printing.
Well, you took valuable time out of my busy schedule of doing nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you gave me something to do on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, cool. No, good time. So, we'd love to get you back on. We'll figure out what the next few discussions are going to be, and we'll see if they're up your alley. So
Well, look, so you just take my scrolling pictures out of there and you throw me over in that window.
yeah, that's all.
There you go.
That's all. See, there you go. Good times, right? So, no problem. We'll figure it out. So, thanks everybody for watching. Right. Right. We're good. Nobody's got anything else, right? We're good. I know I asked that a couple times, just making sure we're all good. All right. Fantastic. Yeah. So thanks everybody for watching. Again, like, share, subscribe, buy some stuff from Mike, or come to CNY and, buy some stuff from Mike there. I think that'd be a good time. I think it's going to be fantastic. We're going to be there hanging out, gaming, all of that stuff. Mike's going to be there with a whole bunch of cool 3D printed stuff. So that'll be awesome.
Can I say one last
So
thing?
thanks everybody. Yeah, go ahead.
Like Roger said earlier, and I'm sure this goes for Decado also, if you guys are looking for anything and you want it delivered at the convention, reach out to either one of us. Let us know what you're looking for, and we can take care of it and make it happen. Because I don't know what I'm bringing. I'm going to bring whatever I have, made up and ready. I'll have a full table of stuff, but if there's something specific you want, just let me know. I can give you links to all the different licenses I have and browse away. So that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, take care, everybody. Maybe.
Maybe.